J. Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Booyah! Happy Tuesday, Cleveland!
Hey.
Happy
Yo.
Tuesday! Woo!
As always.
Jay, you weren't here yesterday. Neither
I
were you, Tyvis.
was not.
Yeah.
You weren't here either?
Why would? Of course, I wasn't
I
scheduled.
was in
Right.
Nashville.
Yeah.
Why were you
How was
in
that?
Nashville?
I had a wedding.
Oh.
My brother, number 3.
wedding?
Best one yet.
Really? Okay.
Funny story on
Best
that.
way yet.
The day my wife and I got married, December 26, 1987, the Browns beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, divisional foe. Why was I getting married on a Browns game? I have no idea. They played on Saturday because it was Christmas week.
Okay.
My brother's been married twice. Didn't work out through no fault of his own.
Both, like you said, both the marriages hasn't worked out?
Both of them.
Okay.
Which day? Because he didn't get married on the day of a Browns game.
Oh, my goodness.
He was married Sunday, and the Browns beat divisional foe Baltimore, and I told him and his beautiful bride, it's a life of happiness.
Were you watching
lies
the
ahead.
game? Like, was it
I
during
could
the
not.
wedding?
No.
That's a hard thing because I've been in a wedding during
Yeah.
the Orlando Magic Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's hard.
And the bride was like, "Would you tell the groom to get up here?"
I know.
During the
Listen,
wedding.
I was the same way. So our wedding started at 1, and I think the Browns game may have started at 1 as well.
Yeah,
What was
yeah,
going
yeah.
on during the wedding?
Planned this.
I know. Listen, not ideal.
Is your brother
ideal.
not a sports fan?
No, my brother is a huge sports fan.
Shout out to
huge,
him.
huge,
Okay.
huge sports
Shout
fan.
out to him.
So the venue they wanted was, I think, the best restaurant in Nashville. They're closed on Sundays, so they only do weddings on Sundays.
right.
So and that's where they wanted to have it.
My wedding was
So-
on a Sunday also during the football season. It was
it really?
a similar reason?
What are
yeah.
we
What is going
thinking?
on with y'all?
I
Similar
don't
reason.
know
are
bigger
all
football
absurd.
fans than us.
I know.
with
It's
y'all?
crazy.
But it's worked. Did
It
your
worked.
team win that day?
You know what? I don't even remember.
Well, you'll have to look it up.
I think the Bengals might have been on a bye that week.
Smart planning. Smart planning. See, I didn't think ahead
Well, my
like
friends
that.
were all Jets and Giants fans, so they were on their phones. but I
Oh
didn't
my
care.
God! So my godmother,
Yeah.
who was my aunt, was the biggest Browns fan, female Browns fan I've ever known in my life.
Yeah.
She said, "Jason, I can't sit through a wedding without watching the Browns. It's the Browns Steelers." She married a Steelers fan.
Sure.
So she said, "This is our plan. I'm going to have a transistor radio with the white. Remember the old white cords and the
Oh,
little
sure,
earbuds?
yeah.
I'm going to be listening to the game." Whenever you want to know a score check, you make eye contact with me in the church. Thumbs up, good. Thumbs down, bad.
That's funny.
crazy.
They beat the Steelers.
How often did you look
19 to
over
13.
there?
Often. And it was funny because she was so enthusiastic. She wasn't just going like this. She was going. I think everybody in the whole church had to be saying, "This woman's nuts.
She done lost her
right.
This
mind.
woman is
What
nuts."
is this crazy person doing?
My whole wedding party, all the pictures for my wedding were ruined because they all had frowns on their faces. Because you know how it goes after the ceremony, it takes forever to get the pictures done.
Oh,
The
sure.
game is going on.
I know,
Still.
People have
And
now
they were not happy with
people
me.
have now opted to get pictures done first.
My brother did that,
That's
which
smart.
was
Smart.
brilliant.
That's the way to
Brilliant.
go.
So anyhow, I was able to watch the first half. The second half I did not see. I was looking at it on my phone,
As
not
you-
on the game, but on the game.
talking about
the game cast.
Sunday's
So
game?
when they won,
Sunday, yes.
So
Yes.
when they won, you was like, "Oh my God!"
I just let out the most, but I couldn't scream. It was like when I was in a press box.
Right.
You know when you're in a press box, no cheering.
Can't root, yeah.
Yeah. One time I was in a Browns press box,
Oh, I do
and they
it
had
all
a
the-
key interception late in the game to seal it.
Yeah.
And I started to scream and caught myself and turned it into an instant sneeze.
Yeah.
So here's me, I'll recreate it. Nobody had any idea. Nobody knew. I'm going to tell you, the hardest thing in the world about being a media member is that right there.
That sucks.
No cheering in the press
Well,
box.
I sit in the press box for all the home games, but not see. Jason sits like in the seats, right in front of the glass.
But
I
Jason-
sit back by the snacks and stuff.
Yeah, but
and I watch it on
You're
TV.
not a diehard Browns fan, are you?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. But I mean,
That's sketchy.
The thing
It's kind of funny
how is
because
that
he
sketchy?
Wait a minute.
he-
Is this
he-
breaking
What
news?
is-
Wait a minute.
He's
Are
from
you
here.
not
What are you talking
I
about?
just feel like once you play in the NFL, you don't have that same.
He's from here.
No, I know that, but he played in the league.
What is
Hell,
it?
watch a game with Bernie or Leroy Horde.
But he didn't play for the
Those
Browns.
guys are almost
I
crying
did.
during the game.
For a little cup of tea.
yeah.
Cup of tea.
He wasn't. He's a
All right,
former
sorry,
Brown.
I challenged.
So
your
anyhow,
faith.
it was
I apologize.
it was nutty. It really
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
And I hated not being able to be here with you guys yesterday, but I didn't get back until last night. Go ahead, Mike.
Before we get into topics today, Jay, you weren't on the morning call, so you missed this, but
Yeah, you didn't call me.
I did call you.
Yes, he did.
I did. But
See that?
it doesn't matter.
You see this,
because
America?
today, can we get a round of applause? It is G. Bush's birthday today.
Hey,
Happy birthday, G. Bush. It's a
yeah,
big
35.
celebratory birthday
I'll be
to
fir-
Mr. G. Bush, the one
How
and
old are you?
only.
43.
21?
This is crazy. I think I'm 40.
What year were you born?
81.
You're 42.
42.
Yeah.
Is that
Jackie
messed up?
Robinson
Maybe you
year.
don't know.
Is that messed up? I didn't know because.
Yeah, that is.
Are you celebrating with some 1942?
Nah, I'm not gonna listen.
Jackie Robinson.
What is Jackie Robinson?
You know the crazy thing
year?
about it. I don't really never celebrate my birthday. It'd be like a
Me
regular
either.
day.
I work every year on my
But you invited us all to your party this
Yes,
weekend.
everybody's invited to my party. I gotta do it.
Everybody, like, the people that's watching?
No,
Wait,
y'all,
you're having a birthday party this weekend?
yeah, Saturday.
You said everybody.
That's true. He did say
Don't
everybody.
show up. Y'all can't. Don't show up. Like my wife will start crying. She'll cry.
I don't have enough food for all
Like,
these
that's
people.
exactly what she'll say. You didn't tell me there was enough food for everyone, babe. I told you I need more lasagna. I'm like, no.
So what's on the menu for Saturday? That's the key
So
question.
on
That's
the
just like
menu,
somebody being
So,
asked that question.
I think I'm gonna have fried chicken.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna have jerk chicken.
I
Yeah.
might come.
I'm gonna
is
have
your guy fixing it?
yes.
Oh, that guy.
catering,
You
yeah.
having jerk chicken?
Yeah, I've got jerk chicken in the
Why
building.
gonna
would
miss the
you
jerk
do
chicken.
that? You know I can't
He'll bring
be
in some
there.
for you next week.
This is
My-
like, what's wrong with
I'm
you?
having a nothing but cake. I got that's my cake of choice.
What's it called?
Nothing but cake. Have
You
you
ain't
ever
had
heard
that?
of
It's
that?
the upside down cake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are
them is
delicious.
delicious.
Oh my, this is some of the best cakes I've ever tasted in my life.
Okay.
You've never
And
seen
then
that store.
what else am I
Nothing but
having?
cakes.
No.
I got I think I'm having I got lasagna. I got
Damn.
I'm gonna have a
some
lot of
spread
stuff.
right
It's
there
a
you're
bunch of
gonna miss,
stuff.
Tyvus.
My mom's coming on
Oh,
Friday
boy.
to help make it.
Wow, that's
Now
outstanding.
should we bring things?
No,
Look at
what
that.
do you, there's
We
nothing to
shouldn't
bring.
bring like food or
Oh,
drinks. or
I
anything?
have
Your appetite.
I have an alcohol bar.
I always
so,
bring
so
that.
yeah, you
And a low-key bottle or something
You
for the birthday
having
boy.
jerk chicken, man?
some of the best jerk you ever seen. I'm saying
Listen,
sometimes.
he's talked about this on the show before.
I'm gonna save you some.
Can't you come later?
No. No, I
We're done
can't.
at 4 o'clock.
I cannot. Do you know what Saturday is?
Oh, it's your wife's birthday. Yeah,
Saturday
yeah.
is my wife's 30th birthday.
Wow.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
she's already mad at me because I got to work on the day.
We'll
So
ordered some jerk chicken, and there you go.
It is
it ain't the same.
No.
it is spouse friendly and kid friendly. So you guys I have arcade.
Hey,
Yeah.
before we throw it to Mikey
See?
McNuggets for our first read, I want to do a low-key flex here. What you guys think?
Oh, I like
What
that.
you guys think?
Oh, that's cool.
Huh? So,
Nice.
if you guys didn't
That's
notice, the one that
nice.
I usually use had a piece of paper and it was all taped
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
back,
yeah.
so I'll hold it on there.
Yes.
So I got this Instagram message from a loyal viewer. She watches every day. She goes, "Hey, where'd you get your clipboard?" And I'm like, "Wow, she must like it." I'm like, "I made it." She goes, "Yeah, no kidding."
It's trash.
I mean, she just destroyed it.
Trash.
And I in full disclosure, I destroyed it too because it was terrible. She said, "I make things." She has a crafts business. She says, "I make things. I'd like to make you one. Is that cool?" I'm like, "Down."
That's cool.
So she was gonna send it, and then she's a big fan, so I said, "Just come up to Channel 3." So she delivered it, but she had to come from Mansfield. Her and her husband came from Mansfield to deliver this beauty. This is a
That
one
is
of one.
awesome.
As long as it
One of
wasn't.
one.
As long as
That's
it wasn't
awesome.
from Medina. I got a ticket today.
Oh, did you get a ticket in Medina?
Today. They told me
Going how fast?
It's a lie. It's a lie. You know what?
Wait till you hear this
No,
excuse.
no. Let me, because this is
It's
the
a
thing.
lie.
It's a lie.
Did they take you by helicopter or the sky view thing?
Picture.
Picture?
No, it's something about a radar underground or something about a zone or something like that.
Yeah,
So
they got you.
he tells me that I was doing 86 and the 70. And
You
I'm
didn't
like,
say, "Do you know who I am?"
no, I'm not gonna say that. I was a black man. This was a white cop. I
Fair-
didn't want to
fair
go
enough,
there.
fair
I
enough.
was
He just
I
wanted to
did the
stay
I did the
alive.
hands
trying
like
to-
this and
That's
everything.
right.
So
And he still wrote you a ticket?
wrote the ticket. Told me I was doing 86 and 7. That's a lie though, Jay. I couldn't have been going 86 because I was in traffic behind a semi truck. So
Did you tell him that?
Yeah, they ain't hearing
But tell
that.
him how fast
Show
you
up
were
and fight
going.
it. Show up and fight it.
But
I'm not
which is what
fighting
I
with
told
them.
him
Listen,
to do.
I understand that inflation is bad because I just went to the grocery store yesterday and bought a couple of things. It was $250 for that. So I'm already upset about that. But if you need if the police department need a donation, just holler at your
How
boy.
much was the ticket?
I didn't look it up yet. I'm sure it's going to be like $200.
But you admitted that you were,
Okay, I was going like 78, 79.
but you're still over the speed limit.
Yeah,
Man, it ain't 86 though.
it's still speeding.
That's
It might
fine.
be a difference in the how much the ticket is.
We got to
If
talk
it's-
after the show about this underground radar technology. If
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
coming,
That nonsense.
if that's coming soon, I'm going to lose my license.
So will Jason. So will I.
Because man, I'm telling you, cops pull me over when I'm not speeding. Is something wrong, Mr. Crawford? I noticed you were going under the speed limit. That's never the case.
I got it. That's
All right,
the
Mikey.
first ticket in 5 years.
Damn.
We got a big show coming, talking Cavs. We're talking Browns. We got Kelly Holcomb making his debut. We're going to talk to Deshaun Watson in 1 sec. But first, we have a FanDuel ticket. We need to show you guys our biggest winner to date. And as always, FanDuel is America's
Biggest one
#1
yet.
sports book. If you're going to be gambling on any action, NFL, MLB, NBA, you better be doing it with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is easy to use with a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And check out this winning ticket from Pickle Nick, who turned $5
Pickle
into
Nick.
$1,054
Wow.
on an 11-part same-game parlay on the Chargers-Lions game this weekend. He had Austin Eckler anytime touchdown, St. Brown anytime touchdown, Herbert over 250 passing yards, Goff over 250 passing yards, Keenan Allen over 60 receiving yards, St. Brown over 60 receiving yards, Sam Laporta, who got over 40 receiving yards on the 4th and 2 call that sealed the game, came down to the very last play, plus Jahmyr Gibbs 40 rushing yards, plus David Montgomery 40 rushing yards, plus Justin Herbert 2 passing touchdowns, plus Austin Eckler 40 receiving yards, $5 into $1,054 for our guy.
You know what the
Pickle
best
Nick.
part about this
Pickle
ticket
Nick.
is? The best part about this ticket is he won fantasy 127 to 106. Did you see that at the top?
Oh, we also won fantasy.
Pickle
He
Nick.
won fantasy. Look at it. You can see it in the top. See, it's that
Oh, he did win
the
fantasy
new
as well.
the
yes.
new iPhone keeps your
Yeah.
update right there at the
Yeah.
top. He won 127.
By the
to
way, he
106.
God bless you for being able
That
to
boy
read
had a day. Woo!
He made,
Forensic files.
he made 210 times his money there.
That's fantastic. That really I
Nice win.
think he sent that one. Did he send that one to all of us? Because someone else won big this
He
weekend.
just
They
tagged.
sent
We had a
it.
couple big winners. We showed one yesterday. We're
Okay,
going to keep
yeah.
showcasing these throughout the week. If you
Hey,
have
how
a winning
about-
FanDuel ticket, please send it our way.
Did you guys see the cat that bet 500,000
On the
and
Five and
won
a half mil.
$5.5 million?
A lot of money.
On the final thing was the Texans beating the Bengals on that.
I think
kick,
that was it.
At the kick
I
at the
think that was
buzzer.
it.
Yeah. I
But
think.
can you imagine dropping 500,000 on a bet?
That's crazy.
So
I mean,
when
you got to be filthy rich if you're betting that much.
Sick rich.
when you
Yeah.
win like that much money, don't they take like taxes out of that?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do get taxed on
Yeah,
your
You know,
anything-
rich
yeah.
people don't pay
No,
taxes.
anything in the state of
$5.99, right?
anything in the state of Ohio over $25,000 is taxable on winnings and earnings.
Oh, okay.
So if I win, if I took $10 and flipped it to 24,000, I get the whole 24,000.
Sounds like it.
Guess so.
Sounds like it. Or if you have,
Good to know.
or if you have an LLC,
I'm about to throw a Hail Mary bet in.
Wow, that's good for him, man.
grab your
Good for
LLC
him.
and write it
That's
off.
great. That's
Yeah.
a great. That's not easy to do.
No, it's a
When
hell
you
of a
bundle that
parlay, and
many-
shout out to Pickle Nick for winning. In
Pickle
some
Nick.
Browns news, though, we heard Deshaun Watson had to undergo some MRIs on
Yes.
his left ankle, which he injured in the comeback win over Baltimore. We're still awaiting the exact test results on that MRI, but it made me think, because Deshaun told reporters after the game on Sunday, I'll be fine for Pittsburgh. I'm good. But he also said that against Baltimore in Week 4, and we all know how that turned out. So is this ankle injury, which doesn't appear to be too serious, at least from what we know now, a big concern, no concern, minor concern as we get ready for Pittsburgh?
I think that it's a minor concern because he was able to play this game with it.
Yeah, but
And
you know how that goes.
True.
It doesn't swell till you take off the
That's-
cleat and the tape.
That's true. But the difference between this and the shoulder is he need to throw with his shoulder.
Sure.
This, he can just stand in the pocket. Now
Well,
he won't
he needs
be,
to run.
True. He needs to be mobile a little bit, but he was still able to get things done. I think in the first half is when he hurt it. and he was limping around and all of that. Second half, he got taped up or
I
whatever.
saw
he
the
did.
replay.
And
He got rolled up pretty good.
Yeah, he did. And then on the game-winning drive, he actually scrambled for like a 12-yard
16.
run or 16.
Yeah.
So he used
That was
it.
probably one of the biggest plays of the game.
was.
Exactly. So that adrenaline pumping, I think he'll be able to get through it. Like I say, he's gonna definitely be in that ice tub all week. It's not gonna feel good anyway, but I think it's not bad enough that he won't.
Have you ever
play.
had a high ankle?
I've never had a high ankle, but I've had some serious ankle sprains before.
Those are nagging because if you have weak ankles, you're susceptible to them, and once you do it once, the tissue in there gets a little soft, and you're more likely to do it over and over and over again.
I'm 0% worried about him not playing.
Yeah, I
this
think
game.
I am too. Yeah.
I'm minorly worried about it affecting him.
How
in the
he'll
game.
play, right?
Yeah, I mean it could, but I'd say minorly because he played through it. Yes, you're right. Once the game's over, it stiffens up a little bit, and then you deal with the realities of what happened, as opposed to in the moment of the game, you're playing on the momentum and the energy. But I don't know. I feel really optimistic about things right now, and everybody with the Browns seems to be poo-pooing it. But like Mike said, and it's fair, they poo-pooed everything. But at the moment, I'm going minor concern about his effectiveness. Minor concern.
I'm with you.
Listen, man. You remember in Dragon Ball Z they was on Planet Namek, and Goku was facing
Greek to me
Frieza
right now.
So Goku and Frieza is going back at it, right? And Goku finally goes Super Saiyan. He plays through all his pains and injuries, and he's out here killing Frieza. He ends up defeating him with one of the best spirit bombs of all time, and one of the greatest
Deshaun have a
arts.
spirit bomb?
What we have given him our spirit.
Can he get one? We
We
can send
have
one.
loaned. Yes, we have
we go.
loaned.
He gets
Spirit bomb.
Spirit bomb. There it is. There it is. Boom.
Spirit bomb to DW4.
Spirit bombs.
Now, by the
Now
way,
I'm 0%.
by the way, that's going to break records. If you didn't know, you didn't get no Dragon Ball Z reference, and we all lend our energy.
They don't know what a spirit bomb is. That's when he throw the hands up and the ball get real big, and then he throw
no
it.
idea what you're talking
When
about.
you
wow.
So they say, G. Bush, what the hell are you talking about again? Once again, what are you doing? Once we've seen him play through the shoulder and the ankle, he is now him when it comes to injuries. Nothing phases him. We have now seen lacerated kidney Deshaun Watson, ankle Deshaun Watson, torn ACLs, but I still play Deshaun Watson. He invoked the spirit of the Alabama Deshaun Watson when Alabama couldn't tackle him.
Right.
He just had to glow.
Right.
Every time they had him in the rights, he
had the
moves
cheat
around, throwing the ball, doesn't look that athletic, but always getting away. He is now showing us what he's made of. Look at that kneeling pose right there. It's over. We ain't worry about no ankle. Ankle? He'd have to break his leg for him not to play. Again, in this game against the Steelers?
I feel like you could be spitting in the face of karma right now. Because I feel like at 12:30 it's going to come out, oh, he's got a high ankle sprain 2 to 4 weeks. Let's not go that far where you're like, he's indestructible.
There's this done. In your heart, in his heart, he knows there is no way I cannot play this game.
There's no stopping him now.
There's no way I
And I'll
cannot play
tell you
this game.
something. There's been plenty to criticize Deshaun Watson about for the last couple of years. His play until recently has not been great. The off-the-field stuff, people feel how they feel. I'm not going to tell anybody how they have to feel about all that situation. You want to be critical there, that's up to you. Your choice. But when Hanford Dixon, when Brady Quinn, there's a third former player, I can't remember now who
LeVar Arrington?
LeVar Arrington, thank you. When LeVar
Arrington
and many fans took a shot at him because he's an easy target. We get it. He's an easy target. And there are some things that are fair. But to question a guy's toughness, who in the past had shown a lot of toughness, and who has played with a bad shoulder and hurts his knee or his ankle, and he's playing again, the first half was not very good. But he played great in the second half.
That's the best half he's played.
He's the best half, and he's playing tough, and he's playing through injuries. There's no excuses here. He doesn't play well. I'm not giving him a pass.
Nope.
He played well. And for people to question his toughness, say he doesn't want to play, I think that was really weak. And I think for that, people owe him apologies.
I agree with that.
I don't know
Especially
how
the friendly fire from Hanford Dixon.
Ridiculous.
I just don't know how they came up to that conclusion.
I don't either.
Because this is the
Especially
same.
a former player.
No, but even I'm a former player, and I didn't even question his toughness.
No, but
this
it's one
guy
thing for
literally
Joe Six-Pack on his couch to say, sack up and get in there.
Right.
But
a guy like Hanford Dixon, who was fortunate with health in his career, but missed games due to injury.
Come on, man.
If anyone should know, it's the former players.
Jay, the man went out. He went back and played in the game he had no business playing in
Of course
because he
he did.
wanted to play.
Right.
He looked terrible.
And that should question or
That's why
answer
I'm
any
like,
questions
That's right.
about his
what are you
toughness.
talking about? He just tried to play when he knew he wasn't healthy enough to play.
Tyvus, before he got into the gaming industry, if this is how much former players want to play. If you would mention the NFL to Tyvus about a year ago, he would be almost in tears.
You said today.
He's like, y'all have dreams of like playing again, and you watch his games, and he probably thinks he still could play. But I could have made that play.
I'm telling you.
Every former player remembers the days they played, and those are the best days of your life. You only got a certain amount of them, whether you played in high school.
I don't know about best days. Best days of your life is when you have kids and get married.
There it is.
Professionally.
His wife and kids are watching, so that's a brilliant answer.
That's a brilliant. His wife. Yeah, shout out to your wife. Her birthday's coming up. Shout out to
birthday.
the Scorpios. Anybody out there? But Tyvus, come on, you know good and well. Every player. No, it doesn't matter about the money, right? Like that's like saying. That's like saying Jay. Say Jay's good. Jay's the man. Like that's like saying he want to ride off into the sunset on the boat. Ain't no riding off the sunset for Jay no boat. He gonna be doing this forever. If not, listen, if it ain't here,
you love what you do. It's not a job.
It ain't here. It's gonna be in the front lawn cutting grass with one of his neighbors,
Facts.
or one of his buddies down the street at the post office having a whole TV show. So just talking for hours.
Probably be in a barbershop.
Probably, right?
That's what old men do. They hang out at the barbershop.
Don't get up and start going to McDonald's at 5 a.m.
Oh
No. Or eating dinner at 4 p.m.
Right.
Like, that's when you got one more thing.
You're done.
mashed potato special.
And whatever you do, don't order a Jazzy.
Oh,
Because the second you put your seat on that Jazzy, they're writing your death certificate, so it's done in time.
Beginning of the end. Right
That
there.
is the beginning of the end.
man, you eating coffee with war vets, Jay? You drinking coffee? Like, they be at 4 o'clock with a newspaper. I'm like, where do they even print the plain dealer? How did you get that?
Jay wearing
Oh, my God.
suspenders with no shirt above it.
Wow.
Wow.
That's funny.
That's going to be me,
That's
definitely.
funny.
That's when you really give up.
That was a home run.
that was. That's so funny.
That is so. I don't think I've no concern at all
Yeah.
that it's going to keep him out. My only fear, because I'm a Browns fan, so I always have to be like, what can I worry about? My only worry is that it will hamper a little bit. It's funny, Joe Burrow up until this last week, and he didn't, he wasn't the reason they lost. I don't think.
No.
But Joe
Tyler
Burrow
Boyd is.
was such a shell of himself the first 3 games.
Yeah.
And you're reminded of that when he came back healthy.
Right.
It didn't take much to knock him off from 100 to a 80.
Right.
Just one bum wheel.
Yeah.
And that's why my hope is for Deshaun, it doesn't limit his mobility. The run option for him is the reason he's the player he is. If you took that away,
Sure.
he would not be the same player.
Not
so
just,
I'm hoping that he
right.
keeps that.
Not just running, but just being mobile within the pocket.
Sure,
Certainly
sliding
help
up,
him.
moving
Yeah.
back, whatever. On the
100%.
16-yard run, that was the biggest play of the game in my
Yeah.
view. He initially just slid a little bit in the pocket, and then he saw the lane and took it.
Yeah.
But with a bum ankle, can he do that? I don't know.
We'll see.
The biggest play of the game was the offensive line pushing Jerome.
You're right.
forward.
That was big, too.
Well, there were
Hold
so
on,
many.
But to me, the 16-yard pickup put them into position to now win
Well,
the
What
game.
about
Wyatt
that
Teller
throw?
landing on the fumble.
That was a big one, too.
David Njoku taking Geno Stone and throwing him down the field 11 yards.
Or the throw that he made to Amari Cooper. It's
Second
like
and
second
19.
and
Second and
19.
19.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And he threw a
You know,
dart.
I think this exercise shows this, and this is what makes me so happy about Sunday's win. Oftentimes in defeat, you can point to one play. But in victory, there are so many little stones that fell perfectly in place.
Yep.
What tells me that we're watching a culture change with this team didn't do things like that in the past. This team
Right.
found a way to not make a play.
Well,
and-
just one of those,
Yes.
and they lose the game.
And Jay, to address what you said, listen, all Browns fans are scarred by the harrowing losses of the past.
You're right.
That's never going to go away unless the Browns win a Super Bowl, right? Never fully go away unless the Browns win a Super Bowl. However, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and I just wanted to follow up on it because I wonder if we have to some degree, stop saying, oh, the Browns never win games like this. Because they won that Niner game like this. They won
No,
that Colts game like this.
This year, they're winning games like that.
Exactly.
In the past, they did not.
Exactly. And if there were so many moments in this game in particular that you could have easily thought, here we go again.
Listen, I did think that in the first half on the very first play of the game.
Of course.
I didn't even have my beer at the bar that we were drinking. We went to a Browns backers bar to watch the first half. It wasn't even on the table yet. It was 7-0.
Right.
You're right. Oh, yeah.
And we all looked at each other and we said, well, of course.
And it was 14. It was really 14.
14
nothing.
That's so funny because it's so many times this season. This is how you know it's different there. And like I say, y'all, you got to give credit where credit's due. Juan Thornhill, you definitely said that things is going to be different this year. But this is the part that gets me. It's been so many times this season where I was like, that is the most Browns thing.
Browns be Brownsing.
But for some odd reason, they overcome it all the time.
And
that's been overcoming
it. Because the culture has changed.
And by the way, you just mentioned the first half stuff. In the fourth quarter, right? In the fourth quarter, James Prochet fumble.
Yep.
And you're thinking,
So
that's
the Browns. That's the most Browns
Then-
thing that can happen.
Browns be Browns.
Then in that ensuing drive, twice they extended that drive by penalty,
Right.
which eventually led to the touchdown.
Then you get the pick six, and he misses the
And
field goal.
they missed the extra point.
Oh
That-
my
that-
God!
That's like one of those Browns things.
The extra point,
Because we finally had put good kicker into the category
Right.
of no more worries.
Yeah.
And then he misses the
And
extra
then he
point.
misses the biggest kick of the game.
And then there's even though nothing bad came out of it because it wasn't against the Browns, but the penalty on the final field goal.
Made your heart stop,
You're
right?
like, oh no, I said, oh no, this is how it happens.
Yeah.
I said, this is how it happens.
You're
And-
conditioned.
Yes.
What's funny for me, and I think a
Browns
lot of
be
other
Browns,
fans
dude.
of the Browns,
Yeah.
I'm also a fan of Ohio State. And it's so funny how the trajectory of those two teams is a complete dichotomy of one another. One is always finding ways to win games and always in the thick of it at the end.
Yeah.
And the other is never.
Right.
So I can juxtapose my fandom between those two, and you're absolutely right. I watch Browns games completely different.
Right.
When I watch Ohio State games and something bad happens, I'm like, they got this. That's okay.
That's nothing.
You
That's
expect
right.
them to pull it out.
You
to
expect
find a
them
way.
because you've been conditioned as a fan that they always do. The Notre Dame game earlier this year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was over.
Right.
That game was over.
They should not have won that game.
And they
yeah.
somehow pulled out the miracle to win the game. And that's the difference of watching Ohio State football and Browns football.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, Bull, the more they do this,
Right.
the more they win games that they are not supposed to win. Or at least games that in the past they would have lost. Because I don't
Right.
want to say they weren't supposed to win Sunday.
Well,
I think they were.
I mean, they were a 10-point dog to the Niners and a 6.5-point dog to the Ravens. So
two of the best teams in the NFL right now.
well, in fact,
And
at
we've
the,
beaten both.
At the time the Browns played the Niners, we all thought the Niners were the best team in football.
We did.
At the time the Browns played the Ravens last Sunday, we all thought the Ravens were the best team in football.
So there you go.
So there you go.
There you go.
So, but let me ask you how far you personally have come. Right now, without thinking about it, do you expect the Browns to win this week?
Yes, absolutely.
There you go.
I absolutely
Yes.
do.
Yep.
That's a great segue to where we're going next.
Okay,
So if
great.
you don't mind, let me get a read in here real quick, and we will set that up because that is perfectly tied into where we're going. But Jace Medical, guys, if you have not heard about Jace Medical, I got to ask, what are you waiting for? Because Jace Medical gives you the power you need to care for your loved ones in a time of need and the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace case, which provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use, giving you peace of mind so you're not just hoping you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have that proper medication in hand, and it's simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care, so you don't get caught unprepared. You get $20 off these life-saving antibiotics today from Jace Medical by using promo code LOCKEDON at jacemedical.com. That is promo code LOCKEDON at jasemedical.com. With the win.
Before you do that, Mike, breaking
Yes, sir.
news in the NFL. The Bills have fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, coming off that another disastrous loss.
You know what? I feel bad for them. Their offense is clearly not right, so this might be the
Yeah.
right move. But last night, you got 12 guys on the field for a field goal
Mess.
at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, that was that.
That's not the offensive coordinator's fault.
They also
That
fumbled
was sick.
galore.
That was sick. That was sick to my stomach.
I mean, I mean that's
Inexcusable.
the way the Browns have lost
That's
games
true.
in the past.
That's
Well,
true.
I'm
So we've shifted our bad karma
Yeah.
a little east on Lake Erie, and
That's
now
right.
Buffalo can live
And
with
the
it.
Bills are a mess. Their offense is a mess.
They
right now.
are a night, and they're in big trouble.
It's because
They're 5-5.
It's because Brian Dable is not there.
Listen, you're
He's not helping the Giants, though.
You're not.
Yeah,
the,
they
no,
might
because he
need to
doesn't
come
have
back.
the tools to work with. But there's something to what you said.
I've been
I
saying.
know a lot of Bills fans that think exactly
Well,
what
maybe
you said. is
Dable
the
gets
problem.
fired this year. He goes back to Buffalo. Who knows? Go ahead, Mike.
Maybe
Sorry.
he's the head coach.
No, you're all good. But with the win against Baltimore, and somehow Pittsburgh finds ways to win, it makes no sense. You look at every number in the book; they should not
They're
be 6-3.
outgained in all 9 games this year, right?
Exactly. It makes no
Insane.
sense.
And they're 6-3.
They're a
Ridiculous.
statistical anomaly how they're 6-3. But with the Browns win over Baltimore, coming back home, I asked Earl this question as a lifelong 35-year-old Browns fan. I asked G. Bush and Jason yesterday. I'm curious what you guys think. And it's maybe prisoner of the moment to an extent. But where does this game rank on the most anticipated regular season games for the Browns since they returned to Cleveland in '99?
It's way up there.
What you mean?
On the regular season.
Regular season,
You
yes.
didn't have
Regular
that in your morning notes or your night note, your rundown.
Then I
last
forgot,
night.
but it was regular season is the
you-
question,
you-
yes.
And so I was going to say, well, it's not in the top
Is
5
it
for
way
me
up there
because
for
the
you?
playoff games.
Yeah, scratch playoff. This is
Right,
regular
yes.
season games.
However,
No?
I think it's
it's-
way up the list.
It's up.
guys.
It's up there, Brad.
and I think,
way up
and
there.
I think it's higher than the Browns versus Steelers. It was in week 16, 17, last game of the
No,
season.
that was the last week of the season. You had to win to get in the
but
playoffs.
the
right.
Steelers didn't play anybody.
I know, but you still had to win.
They played. They didn't play their backs. They did. Ben Roethlisberger didn't play. They
Yeah,
played
but
Mason
gee,
Rudolph.
with the Browns' history and they hadn't been in the playoffs forever, I think that's prisoner of the
I
moment.
think that this game could really be like, it can shoot up the charts even more depending on what happens in the Thursday night game.
I agree with that because if Cincinnati beats
Beats-
Baltimore,
it's
this is for sole possession
yeah,
for first
yeah,
place.
yeah.
So that being at week 11, you're 2/3 of the way through the season. If Cincinnati wins on Thursday night, then I think this is
Cincinnati
definitely
at home?
top
No,
3.
it's in Baltimore.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to matter. I still think they can beat Cincinnati.
Oh, they
can beat
certainly can
Baltimore.
win, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
without both starting defensive ends.
Yeah, no,
T.
I agree with
Higgins
that.
playing. T. Higgins.
T.
not
Higgins
playing
is out
either.
too. Yeah, they're certainly handcuffed, but so are the Browns.
I think they're going to win, though, but we'll see. Yes. I mean, by the way, if the Browns beat the Steelers and the Bengals beat the Ravens, right, you'll have all 4 teams within a game of each other, and the Browns will be in first place, which is insane.
Bananas.
But I think I definitely think it's one of the biggest, certainly. But I can't put it, even though the Steelers were not playing their starters, that game at the end of 2020 was you win, you're in the playoffs.
It was a playoff game for the Browns.
Right.
Yeah.
It was.
So that was bigger. And
I have that one bigger than this one too. That's why I can't go to. It's the biggest.
And remember was it 2007, right? The Derek Anderson year
When they were 10
the Bengals,
or 9-6, didn't
Right.
they have to win the last week of the season?
right?
That was big too.
And
Yes.
lost.
I asked Earl, and this was Earl's top 3, if he was going with 3 that did not include this Sunday. And he went with 2002, Week 17 versus the Falcons, 2007, Week 16 versus the Bengals, which I think is what you just
That was
alluded
what
to,
we're
and then
talking
the Week 17 2020 Steelers game. So he had this in the top 3. He had it at number 3.
There was a game where I think 2020 had a
Wait, he
couple.
had a number 4, right?
Yeah,
No, I didn't include this one in. He had that over the Falcons game. He said
okay.
2020, I think the Browns went to Tennessee, and they had both the best records in the AFC, and the Browns went into Tennessee and smoked them. Like Donovan Peoples-Jones caught a long touchdown pass, Jarvis Landry caught a touchdown pass. The score looked a little closer, but that was the game people were saying the Browns are going to fall apart. They're not real.
The Titans made it close in garbage time.
Yeah, they made it close to
Y'all
garbage.
all wrong. The most anticipated Browns game was the last game of the season when they lost, when they was 0-15, and they was trying to figure out if they was going to have a parade or not.
That turns my stomach.
That never
up
happened.
thinking about those
They
games.
was
never
thinking
happened.
about the parade.
I've struck that from the records.
Yeah, that game, that season never happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
I would say this is the biggest.
for
Were
that.
they 0-16 once?
I would say this is the big. I would say the crowd for this game is going to be as crazy as we've seen for a home
How did-
game in forever.
How did this game not get flexed?
I thought it was.
So I did a little research on that
Sure.
because I was curious. You have to flex a game 12 days out in advance.
12 days ago, this looked like it could be a
I agree.
monumental
I
game.
agree. And I'm not defending the NFL.
Well-
I'm just giving you they have to do it 12 days out in advance, and they decided they weren't going to flex last week out because Vegas, who was in primetime again, which hosts the Super Bowl, they're not going to flex Vegas out of primetime. They're trying to showcase that stadium.
That's garbage.
I'm not saying I agree. I'm just
I
saying.
don't think
I'm
that
just
makes any
saying.
sense.
There's no other explanation
that's
of
their
Vegas to have
official
3
reason,
home Sunday
that's
night
a
football games this year, and Vegas sucks. There's no other explanation.
I've seen them on
Jay.
prime time. I've seen the Giants and the Jets on prime
Which is
time
a
too much.
travesty.
The NFL makes a
Hey.
big mistake when before the schedule comes out. They do this. Let's get Dallas, the Giants,
Always on TV.
The Eagles,
Jay.
the top 4 cities in America, San Francisco,
Chicago.
This year it's Vegas because of the Super Bowl, Chicago.
Washington
I've
gets on the
seen
TV a lot, too.
horrible primetime games this year
Jay.
where I'm not even excited.
Shame on you. You selfish.
What?
You don't think about the people that got to do the Browns post-game show after the show is over. Thank you for keeping it at 1 o'clock. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
And I get it. The bigger markets have more total fans, but in football in general,
You wanna put the best-
people want good games.
You want the best product out there.
Exactly.
You
Now-
give me Carolina and Chicago,
That was terrible.
And in
That was
fairness,
I'll watch a preseason game before I
in
watch
fairness,
that.
everybody thought the Jets and Giants would both be good this year.
I get that, but
Well,
that's why you have flex.
But yes,
flex them
change
out.
it.
Flex them out.
And the Raiders, why would you show those games because of the
Okay,
stadium?
Because
That doesn't make any sense.
Antonio
though-
Pierce got something going.
Now
up
the
there.
Raiders are 5-5.
Yeah.
But when they were 2-5 or 3-5,
No.
and that's when they had to make the decision to flex the Browns into that Sunday night. That's just a swing and
Well,
a
the
miss,
Monday night is Eagles-Chiefs,
which is a great game.
so they're not going to take that game out.
No, you would flex
Yeah.
them into Sunday
Oh,
night.
Sunday night, yeah. No,
What
they
is the
did.
Sunday night
They
game?
made the right call. I think
Yeah,
they made
so
the
you
right
can
call.
go to bed early
No,
Sunday.
so I could get back
I
and
thought
see
they
my
only
kids.
flexed Monday night. They flexed Sunday night?
No, you can't flex Monday. You can only
yeah,
No,
flex
it's
Sunday.
only-
It's only Sunday.
All right, I'm out
Sunday
of my mind. What's the Sunday night game?
I'm looking up right now.
It's not good.
The Sunday night game this week. That's this week. I got to go next week. Ugh.
Jeez, Mike, pull it together.
It's not
will you?
good.
Minnesota at Denver.
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs in primetime, baby.
Now,
Dobbs in prime
NBC
time.
kind of backed into one here.
Well, Jay
because
Jetter's gonna be
Minnesota
back.
and Denver have both turned their seasons around. They're both in
Yeah,
contention.
but they're both mediocre teams.
We think they
Yeah,
are, but you know
yeah.
what? One thing that struck me last
Jay
night when I was
Jetter's
watching
back.
Denver, sometimes one bad meal can ruin it for you ever going back to a restaurant. When they gave up 70 to a Miami team that hasn't beaten a good team
Russell
this year,
Wilson's played decent this
Russell
year.
Wilson was very efficient yesterday.
He's been
Yeah,
much
well.
better
and their
this year.
defense has been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's true. He's
Phenomenal.
been much better. We've kind of blown.
We did
pushed
blow
him
them off.
away
We,
after
said,
last year.
we thought, hell, they're going to start trading everybody.
Right, but
and
he's
they
played
stuck
better.
around.
That
and-
slick hair dude
Your
is
boy-
back. The
your
slick
boy
hair is
Russell
back.
Wilson. Are you still hating on Russell Wilson?
I never hated him. He's a great guy. He's not a great quarterback.
I'll tell you this, and this is why I'm really
stand on
fascinated
it.
about the season moving forward. Is the quarterback play across the league has been down, even the great ones. Patrick Mahomes hasn't looked that good.
He had a flu game.
We see what the Bills is 5-5, right? You look at it across the board. The Cleveland Browns have something that could be special brewing, because if you look at what the Browns are doing and you look at Deshaun Watson, and if he continues to get better with more reps, with more practice, with more games, that confidence begins to roll. The best thing that can happen is the Browns say, oh, we definitely got a peaking franchise quarterback who is now playing his best football, and he's now in the rhythm and he's back. If you look at it across the league, it's as wide open as I've seen it.
You know,
Jacksonville and Buffalo and all the teams that were supposed to be good, they haven't been lighting the world on fire.
Well,
I will say
Jacksonville
this.
is 6-3.
Yeah.
They looked terrible though last
They
year.
got
destroyed.
I will say that all 7 teams that end up making the playoffs in the AFC can all probably go to the Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
You know, I mean, think about it right now. I mean,
That's nuts.
Who's a team in the AFC that you can't make a case? Like, I can make a case. I can't make a case for the Steelers going to the Super Bowl personally.
No,
But I
don't.
can
No.
make
No,
a
but
case.
when you look at where they're positioned,
Right, I know, but for me personally,
they're not going
but
to
they're
the
doing
Super
it with smoke and mirrors.
Right,
They're not going
but
to
in
the
the
Super Bowl.
in the North, I think assuming
The
health,
Ravens, Bengals, and Browns
could all go to the
absolutely,
Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
The Dolphins could. I know they haven't been good against great teams, but they still could go to the Super Bowl.
And they're going to get healthy here.
Right. Obviously, the Chiefs can. Even though they were terrible this past week, I still think Jacksonville can. That's 6 teams right there. Who am I forgetting?
Buffalo, don't knock Buffalo out of the race.
I was about to say, I still don't
don't
rule
wanna
out
see them.
Buffalo.
Because guess what?
I wanna
If they
see them.
get in as a wild
I
card,
don't-
would
Yeah.
anybody want to play them in round
no,
one?
I don't.
I wouldn't.
Now,
Right.
now, and by the way, is it a possibility the Houston Texans make the playoffs?
1,000%.
Right now,
Now
they're in.
One-
they
they're
in
gonna
7th
win
place
their-
right now.
They could end up winning their division if Jacksonville
They
ends up
could.
stinking it up like
And
they did
Stroud looks
Sunday.
phenomenal.
And I don't want to play them either.
CJ Stroud's rookie.
Well, we
of
got
the
to
year.
play them at the end of the year.
Oh, forget rookie of the year. Could he
He's
win
in
He's about to win
MVP.
MVP.
I think he's in the MVP
I don't think he's the
conversation.
MVP right now, but
That's
he's in the
crazy.
conversation.
Listen, his trajectory the last couple of weeks is going like this. If he continues to do what he's doing,
Go Bucks.
I watched.
He's gonna work his way into that MVP talk.
This week was the first time I watched him play a whole game, and I was beyond impressed. I mean, he was amazing.
Go Bucks.
Having not seen that, was
Yeah.
that a fluky win? Was that?
No, they played really
what
well.
What happened to Cincinnati?
Tyler Boyd dropped the touchdown.
yeah.
Yeah, he dropped that touchdown.
Oh, I did see that.
The
I did see
Bengals
that.
were
That
down.
would have given them the win, right?
Probably. You never. Well,
It would
No,
have given
it-
them the lead.
they would have had a 4-point lead with like a minute and change to go. The Texans drove down, so instead it was tied instead of the
Got a
Bengals
field
being
goal,
up 4.
right?
And they kicked the game-winning field goal. They would have had to score a touchdown to
CJ
win.
Stroud, man.
And Stroud did throw a big pick in the fourth quarter that got the Bengals back in the game. However, besides that, he was phenomenal. They ran the ball really well this week, which was unusual. Devin Singletary had like 130 yards. But no, they believe in him, no doubt.
Yeah.
He's legit, 100%.
Go Bucks.
All right, Mikey.
We're going to move on real quick. We did a YouTube chat poll with over 450 votes. 67% said this is the most anticipated regular season game since '99. We're going to move on to grading some PFF graders real quick, but just a quick reminder that on Fridays from 12:30 to 1, we move over from YouTube to WKYC, 30 minutes of brand new, never seen before Browns coverage leading into the game. They're playing Sunday, so this week it'll be Browns Steelers preview. You can't find that anywhere else but on WKYC, so make sure you download the WKYC app. If you can't watch in Cleveland, if you're in Cleveland, turn the channels of your television over to Channel 3. Check us out. It's been a lot of fun, and I know you guys will enjoy it. All right, we're doing PFF graders, grading the PFF graders, doing it a little different this week. Like always, changing it up. Jay, Bull, G, Tyvus, I'll give you a grade. I will give you the player, and then I will ask you guys to decide where that ranks for them this season or
wow.
in their career, depending on how long they've played for the Browns. So we're going to see this game, and you're going
lowest
to tell
of
me
the season,
their eye
highest of the
test. Is this
season?
their third best game, their fifth best? I'll give you
Okay.
multiple choice.
All right.
So let's start with Deshaun Watson. He graded out, according to PFF, at a 59.9 versus the Ravens.
Wow, that's terrible.
In his career for the Browns, because he only played five, 6 real games this season. In his
Yeah.
career for the Browns, is this his second best PFF grade he's received, his fourth best, or his sixth best?
I think it's second best.
Fourth.
Second.
So we have a second.
PFF, I love
Fourth.
PFF. They've hurt. I feel like I've lost credibility.
Well, remember
Seconds,
what I said a
two
couple
fourths.
weeks ago?
They're
You
dead
can join
to
on the
me.
identity train.
I don't understand 59-9.
I don't either.
He had a terrible first half.
Okay, but he was
I
14 to
know.
14 in the second half and made several plays that without they don't win the game.
He also
they don't
got-
get any bigger than
He
that.
also had one touchdown and one pick.
Well, his numbers weren't gaudy. I'll give you that.
All right, so what are you talking about?
But the eye test, Ty. The eye test.
Second, fourth, or sixth are your options.
It's 2 seconds, 2 fourths. They said second, me and you
I
said
got
fourth.
four.
Yeah.
2 seconds, 2 fourths, 0 correct answers. It was his sixth highest graded game
Wow.
as a member of the Browns. His second highest was the Tennessee game, a
Tell me he's played 5 games
74.6.
as a Brown better than this one?
No.
His fourth highest against Cincinnati, week 1, a 66.8. and then
Washington
this,
last year.
Week 6, yeah. Well, that was his third.
I thought you
I got
said
you.
just this year.
No, I said for his Browns career because he only
Got
played
you.
6
Got
games.
you.
There's
this
no
year,
way
so.
he played better in the Bengals game than he did yesterday.
Not a chance.
No.
Not
No.
a chance.
That's
Hell,
ridiculous.
his numbers in that game were horrible. It
Yeah.
was- the field was soaked. The ball was wet.
Yeah, I don't
It was like
get
10
it.
of 19,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. Like, that's what drives me nuts with
Yeah.
PFF. Like, just look at
It's
watch
crazy.
the game.
They're dead to me.
They're dead to me.
All right, next up, Amari Cooper, who graded out at a very high 75.5 on Sunday. Amari Cooper, one of his better games. Is that his second best game of the season? This is just for Amari this season. Second best game of the season, fourth best game of the season, or seventh best game of the season for Amari Cooper? 2, 4, or 7 for number 2.
I'm double downing on 4.
I'm
Yep.
saying 4.
I'm saying 4-2.
Yeah.
4s across the board. Last time, no correct answers. This time,
Yep.
y'all nailed it.
Got it.
His second best game was Seattle, a 78.8. This week, his fourth best, 75.5. His seventh best, a 70.3. Almost every game this season, Amari Cooper has been between a 70 and a 79, which is about, it's a pretty damn good grade for a receiver.
And he got an option after the season, right?
There's no.
There's no option. It's just they could get out of his contract if they
Ain't,
want.
ain't nobody getting out of none of that.
Yeah, no,
You
yeah,
can't. You're the
I
guy.
just said, yeah, that ain't happening.
They haven't. It's their failure to draft and develop. wide
Right, that's
receivers
on them,
Has
right.
led to the fact they're going to have to pay him whatever they have to pay him. next year.
And you know, I'm still.
This the last
That's
year
still
without-
my biggest concern about them this season.
Yes.
You gotta have more than one wide receiver. You just do. It's a
What
fact.
you mean? You didn't see my boy in the end zone?
Who?
Number 8. That 8 ball. You ain't see him in there? Didn't I tell you, America? It was coming soon. Now, it ain't no big breakout game. But he finally broke the streak of just Amari Cooper being the only wide
Deshaun
receiver.
Watson spoon-fed him.
That's
that ball.
fine. We'll take it any way
Like
we
a
can
baby
get it.
with a bib. Here
We'll
you
take
go,
it
dog. You
any
can't
way
drop this.
we
Yeah,
can
there
get
you
it.
go. Here's a touchdown.
Here's a touchdown.
That's
Here
fine.
you go,
That's
bro.
fine. We can't hear that god awful stat.
they're gonna need more
Amari
production
Cooper's the
from wide
only
receivers.
one, the only wide receiver with a touchdown.
And McNuggets stats be proving it. Hey, Tillman be on the field all the time. Tillman get the most snaps, and I don't see him.
Does he really?
Bro, he
Yeah,
be
he
on the
gets a
field
lot of
all
snaps.
the time.
You just never see
He
him.
guess he's a
not,
good blocker.
he is not recognizable out
He
here.
gets zero separation.
You can't wait a
Zero.
minute. You can't say that he's not What was the rushing yards for the what did we finish with? 170 against Baltimore?
That is correct.
He doing something?
That wasn't him. Against,
What do you mean that's not him?
Against the Cardinals, he was Ole people. Ole.
Amari Cooper Olayed somebody.
But that's Amari
and I
Cooper.
couldn't believe
He's allowed to do
But
that.
he
he allowed to do
Listen,
that.
He gets 2 Olays a game if
Listen,
he wants.
one thing
I
about
agree with that.
I'd write that in his contract.
Wait a minute.
Pick
One
him carefully.
thing, one
Make a
thing
business
about the
decision,
game
Amari.
of football, you can never ever put on tape that you didn't want no parts. It just looks bad, because it's obvious, like you didn't want to do it. Like you should never.
His hands-
Even if you don't want to do it, you go in there
His hands
anyway
are
and do it.
valuable. We are not getting those things
listen,
crushed.
you put a shoulder-
Touching other people.
This is the thing. It was a crackback. You can't even crackback. All you got to do is just jump in the way. It's like a pick in basketball now. You can't do a pick in basketball.
If he doesn't want to.
Y'all sick.
There's cats that earn that during the season. Like Myles Garrett do whatever he wants. He could dump out his dinosaurs
Y'all sick.
and sit Indian style under
During a
fake
play if he
blur.
wants.
This is
okay.
Give us the next player. They lost their minds.
Next up is Jerron Christian. So I'm going to show you his grade, and I'm going to ask you to see where this ranks among Browns left tackles this season. He's only played one
Yeah, it's
game.
the only game he's played.
So this is among all Browns left tackles this season. He graded out at a
that's really good.
69.6.
That's very good.
Number
thought he-
first.
Hey, they didn't call his name on the whole game.
No, so
He did give up the hit that led to the fumble.
Yes, he did.
All right, is this a multiple choice answer?
Yes,
Okay.
first, second, or third. Is it the highest, the
second.
second highest, or the third highest?
it's not the
grade?
highest.
A
'cause
left tackle.
I know someone's had it in the 70s.
A
That
left
left
tackle. This
tackle-
is just left tackle.
just at left tackle.
What are the options?
This
Mike?
season, this
1, 2, or
season,
3.
1,
You
2,
know
or
what?
3?
That might be
One.
number one.
Number
that
one.
might be number
You
one.
said
going 2.
You said this season.
A Browns left tackle this season.
Yeah.
Is that the
think
highest grade a Browns left tackle this season has put up?
Wait
1,
a
2, or
minute,
3.
has somebody played
I
outside
don't
of
remember
Jed?
Jed Wills getting a number one, getting a 70s.
I ain't seen no 70s, bro.
But I do remember
Yeah,
DeJuan
boy.
Jones had a 70s.
Yeah.
Wait,
Tackles.
this
Just
is.
left
I know,
tackle.
right?
this is-
That's what I'm saying. As tackles go,
It
no.
might be one.
I think it is number one.
Hold on, wait.
got 2.
Ones?
Wait a minute. No,
It's
either
no,
one or
wait
two.
a minute.
Tyvis?
I'm gonna be with Bull. Bull might know something.
It's 1 or 2. It's
So
1
that
or
is
2.
half the panel for
Bull
1,
loves
half the
PFF.
panel for 2. JG, I regret to inform you that you are right. It is the highest grade for a left tackle.
He's going on Ryan's
Jed Wills,
American Idol.
You are definitely
Not moving on.
Yeah.
Jed Wills against San Francisco had a 69. So very close, but Christian edged him out by 0.6.
Hey, you
His
know-
second best grade
That's crazy.
in
Go
Week
ahead.
9 against Arizona, a 66.4.
By the way, little stat for you. The rushing yards the Browns had against the Ravens was the second most rushing yards the Ravens have allowed in their last 57 games.
Without Nick Chubb.
That's nuts.
And let me,
Only the Steelers last year rushed for more yards.
And
than
we
the
were ready to,
We were all done with
release
Ford.
Jerome Ford.
We were all done with him.
We
He had a
wanted
great-
his carries to go to Strong. You know what? We really have to give credit to Kevin Stefanski. Did you guys do that yesterday?
I was
A
just
lot.
going to say,
Good,
the
because he
fact-
needs flowers for what he did.
I've
up
been
there.
saying it on the post game show for the past since the bye week.
No,
Well, you have to on that. You're a Browns employee.
That's not true. But I stop that. You better cut that out. You better
Remember one
cut
day
that out.
we were being critical of the Browns, and you said, "Dear Cleveland Browns, you know, the ones that pay my other paycheck." All of this criticism is
Wait a
not
minute.
sponsored by me.
That's not true. Yeah. I am allowed to be. The thing about me is this. All right, listen.
backpedaling again.
Hey, when your hand go up like that, either
America.
you've been caught cheating.
America.
Man, hold on, wait a minute, hold on, baby, please.
Let me
Baby,
talk,
please.
Let me talk to the world. Is this the camera? Okay, listen. One thing about me, whether good, bad, or indifferent, I'm
can still backpedal.
always tell it like it is, no matter what. Now,
And at the very least, he could have been neutral. He didn't have to give him flowers.
the word, my choice of words might be different.
Yeah.
But I'm going to still tell it like it is. I mean, you're going to know where I stand by the end of it.
And
Kevin
and
Stefanski's
listen,
done a great
don't
job.
ever let go of that.
Yeah.
Because without that, you have no credibility. You have to be critical when the situation calls for you to be critical, and you have to give flowers when they are warranted.
And they made. Yesterday I came with the flowers, bro. Like if you was to tell me, you have to give credit to say, I've had a backup dude that was basically off the streets.
Yes.
He played better than our starter that's been here for
Bill
5
Callahan.
years. They clap it
Hats
up.
off to you again.
Yeah.
Stump Mitchell, guys.
None of us knew who the left tackle was, although he has played in the league. He is a veteran.
You could have told me that his name was Jeff Walker.
Right.
I wouldn't have been able to.
No, I'd never heard of him before last week.
And he gives us the highest grade of a left tackle for the Browns
all
year.
And think about this.
Jed, you're in trouble, bro.
The level of professionalism that he gave.
Was he a third-round pick?
He came in here and gave him. He came in here and was blocking his tail off against a rival. He didn't sign up for this.
You weren't playing. It wasn't like the Cardinals.
No.
I mean, this was a
right.
But
on the road, you can't hear any signal.
You also got to give credit to the guards. I mean, Teller and Batonio been doing this.
They played great.
I mean, the right tackle, like Teller, he been having a rotation at right tackle this season, and they've all been playing really well.
A few hits, a few blocks Sunday that are going to be the front end of his bio tape.
But both of them they had to communicate all game, letting them know, hey, this what you got. Now I'm gonna let you. This what you got.
Good. That's cleanup duty.
No white tees. Look at that.
And Deshaun Watson.
Watch Wyatt Teller. He sees it's coming. Can you play it one more time? Wyatt Teller says you can see it. Watch him look.
Yeah, I knew you was
right
coming.
in the beginning. Watch him. He's looking over. He sees it. Oh, now I'm gonna yell him.
He said, watch it. It's like a kid with
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Here we go.
He said, send him back inside.
Hey, Wyatt Teller, listen, when Brian Bulaga spot shadow you after the game, you know you was balling.
Yeah.
That's it. If
You
he
mean
got
Brian Boldinger.
Brian Boldinger. Yeah, listen.
Bulaga was an offensive lineman too for the Packers.
He was. I liked him. Good.
All right, who's next?
Let's go to the defensive side of the ball with Myles Garrett. He graded out a 68.9.
What?
This season.
Dead to me.
This season is that
PFF is dead to me.
Is that his 5th highest grade? They've played 9 games. The 8th highest grade or his lowest grade of the season?
I bet it's his
lowest, second lowest.
I'm gonna say 8.
I'm gonna say 8 also.
8. He had one that was like 65.
You know what? I do remember one time he had one that was so low that we were like, that's trash.
Come on.
Trash. So maybe it is the second lowest.
And it is the second lowest. His first lowest was Week 4 against Baltimore, a 63.7. This time, a 68.9, his second lowest of the season.
But that game, he did nothing. That was like the only game all year he did nothing. The whole team did nothing.
I mean, I was begging him on Twitter for back-to-back sacks, and he gave them to me. I was like, we need this. Come on.
His pass rush grade in the game?
Yeah, on Twitter.
His pass rush game, and this was high. His run defensive grade was very low. And I just thought, I didn't think of this till right now, the Keaton Mitchell long touchdown run was a draw where they drew him off the field and ran right through that hole. And I'm curious if stuff like that is what dropped it down.
You guys weren't here. How about the speed that kid showed on that run?
Oh, my God,
and how dumb was Harbaugh for not getting him the ball again?
I couldn't figure out why they weren't going to him more.
4 touches.
Hey, listen.
That play bothered me.
Was he hurt?
No.
That play bothered me so much.
Well, anytime the team breaks off a long run on you.
From a defensive standpoint, because the signs of a defense is 3 things. It's tackling, leveraging, and eliminating explosive plays. And in one play, all 3 of those was broken. And Dale Pitt, I don't know what you was doing. Just go shoot the outside leg and make him cut it back. I don't know why you stopped. He did blow it, but I got to be critical. Because as a Browns guy, I got to still be critical. Bro, go shoot your shot on the outside leg. Even if you miss, you'll stop him, and they'll slow him down, and everybody will get there. They just let him go.
I
think that's exactly what it is.
My God.
I was like, this guy
Nobody
is
checked the scouting report.
Martin Emerson, these 2 were unblocked.
Harbaugh said after the game, I might have to play him more against Cincinnati. Oh, you think?
Wow.
3 carries.
Talk about this. This is why the Baltimore Ravens, it's hard to call them true contenders because Baltimore has lapses where they can look so good throwing the football. Lamar Jackson can look unblockable. They got great guys on the defensive end, but they just go through lapses where they get no points or
you
nothing.
Say that about every team.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. But let's look at their 3 losses, guys.
Yeah.
Against the Colts, they had a rare Justin Tucker missed field goal that would have won it in regulation.
Yeah.
Then they had chances to win it in overtime, and they couldn't close that deal. The Browns game, I mean, let's face it. They played well
Sure.
enough to win for the most part. They didn't win, and the other loss was to Pittsburgh.
And they gave it away in
and
the
they
second
gave
half.
that game
Yeah.
away. So I mean, yeah, they're 7-3, but they're 7-3 with an arrow going up in my book.
And again, I don't want to diminish my opponent because it diminishes what I accomplished when I diminish my opponent. The Ravens are an excellent team.
Very good team.
They're very good on all three phases
Did
of
they
the game.
lose to Pittsburgh and Baltimore too?
I don't remember where that game
Because
was.
I know Indy and Cleveland, those two losses were at home.
Yeah.
My son was at the game yesterday. He went with two of his cousins.
Yeah.
A group of 6 people went, and Corey said at the end of the game, Browns fans were taking that place over. He said it was a really good crowd, a good showing of Browns fans.
Not a surprise.
And I should throw this out there. He said he's been to a lot of opposing stadiums. He said Ravens fans, even after the game was over, could not have been more cordial. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Good. That's nice.
Yeah.
We got one more before I got a crazy stat for you guys. I'm going to bring in Mary Kay with an update on Deshaun's ankle and
good.
everything else.
Good.
Greg Newsome, his first career pick, Tyvus, shout out to your guy. He had graded out at a 79.6. Is that his highest grade of the season, his second highest grade of the season, or his third highest grade of the season?
Highest.
I don't remember him being in the 80s.
Highest.
No, I'm going to go highest.
I'm going to say highest.
Everyone says highest.
Second.
The answer,
No, G says second.
Second.
G. Oh, we have a correct person then. G, you got this right by 0.1 points.
Yeah, because I don't
That's
remember him being in
funny.
the 80s.
Week
That's
1
funny.
against Cincinnati, he had a 79.7 grade.
That's funny.
This week, a 79.6.
All right.
And then right after, 77. I got a crazy stat for you guys that we got to pull up here real quick. Then we're going to bring in Mary Kay once she hops on. But this was brought to my attention by Joseph Steck on Twitter. So I want to give him credit. Joseph Steck brought this up. But
Did you verify it?
I did verify it myself.
Okay.
This is correct. Yeah, double
Sometimes
checked.
those crazy stats are crazy for a
No,
reason.
Joseph Steck was right. This
not right.
blew my mind, and I told Earl this morning, and Earl was like, get out of here. But it's true.
Wow.
So, the Browns in 2023 have scored 214 points this season. Kareem Hunt has accounted for 36 of those.
Wow.
Steve? Dustin Hopkins has accounted for 86 of those.
Oh,
That means
half of their points.
57% of the points, take it again, Steve, another one. 57% of their points this season have come from two players who were not on the Browns roster after the final preseason game.
Wow. That
Think
is
about that.
an
Andrew Berry,
incredible stat.
his drafting, you could question. His trades, whatever. His signings, whatever. This dude has found 2 diamonds in the rough this season. And they're diamonds in the rough for different reasons. Kareem Hunt, obviously, is an accomplished player, but wasn't there. Dustin Hopkins was on their team. 57% of their points through Week 9 have come from guys who were not on this roster after the final
Bull has a
preseason
fault to
game.
pick with this.
I think we're overstating a little the diamond in the rough on Kareem Hunt. The kicker has done he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I can't give credit to Andrew Berry for going to get the guy that all of Cleveland had been screaming for him to go get. But the Dustin Hopkins thing, absolutely.
It's not like Kareem Hunt has been great. They've given him the ball in the goal line.
You know what?
Made some big plays.
Kareem Hunt has been great.
Let me show you this.
I don't agree
In
with
my
you. I don't
mind,
agree.
he's been great, and here's why.
Go ahead. So-
When we've needed the yard here or a yard there, to me, he's picked up the biggest single yard on the season this year.
I hear you. He's been
That's
great
what
in
he
spots.
does. He runs hard. He runs angry, and that's what this team needed.
This spot is irrefutable. When you hear it, you're going to be like, you know what, dang it, G. Bush, you're correct.
Let's see.
Offensive people talk about what? Third down and third down conversions.
Right.
That's the most important down in the game, third down.
Keep the chains
He's
moving.
a guy
He
that
barely played yesterday. Sunday.
He's a guy that's on short yardage 9 times out of 10. He's getting that yard.
Yeah, I like
what's the most important place on the field? Inside the red zone. The difference between you winning and losing is kicking field goals and somebody scoring touchdowns.
You're right.
He is a guy on that goal line is unstoppable at this point. He's in his groove, and it's a skill set to score on the goal line.
He scored in 5 straight games now,
It's
right?
a skill set. So
5
he's
straight
he's the difference between us getting field goals and losing or punching
You're
it in
right.
touchdowns.
And so, Bull, like, it's a little bit of a misnomer when I say he's been great. For what he's supposed to do,
That's it. That's his role.
He has been great. He has met everything the
I get
Browns
what
have
you're
asked
saying.
him to do.
I get what you're saying.
I couldn't be
That's
happier
fair.
with his production.
He's a relief pitcher. Like, you can't say he's going to win a Cy Young.
Right, he comes in a spot,
Spot,
a tough spot.
very tough.
And he gets it done.
I would say he's
That's
more
a
like
great analogy.
He's
Bull.
more like Rusty
RG.
Staub, a great pinch hitter.
I remember Rusty Staub.
Right? He'd always come in and get you
Always
25
came in and got the
pinch hits
big
a year.
hit.
That's
You're
it.
right.
Yeah.
But hey, look, every team needs that guy.
He's played very well in his role, no doubt.
And I loved his post-game video when he was saying that they went in and they did that in front of their wives and kids.
I like that too.
Right.
That was a callback to
me,
Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
Saying that
they
were
held
gonna,
that since the last game.
And so anybody that says it does none of this stuff matters to players, you're crazy. They hold on to that stuff. They use it for motivation. And when they get over on that team, they always make a callback to those comments.
Myles Garrett said before the game that Joe Burrow's better than Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson didn't have a good game.
It's tough to argue with what Myles said, too.
Yeah.
To me, I think that, you know how last season everybody was on the Jamal Williams train because he led the NFL in touchdowns?
Right.
Kareem Hunt doing the same thing Jamal Williams was doing last year, technically.
Well, Jamal Williams had 18 touchdowns, though.
Well, listen, if
I'm
you
saying
extrapolate
he's
what
doing his role.
what he's doing over a season, he's going to have 18 touchdowns. He scored a touchdown a game.
If I remember correctly, Jamal Williams was more of a factor than Kareem Hunt's been. But
Jamal did get more carries, but to Tyvis's point,
yeah.
anytime they were even remotely near the goal line, it was 2 straight carries for Jamal
Right,
Williams.
right,
And
right.
more often than not a touchdown.
And led to a touchdown.
He's played that role very well.
You have a read, Mike?
I do, because we have Mary Kay, and we're going to bring Mary Kay in here in 1 sec. But the noon hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and this interview with Mary Kay is brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, where you can score early this NFL season. Right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than right now to get in on the action. The app is easy to use with a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And with that, let's welcome in Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, Cleveland.com, who always joins us on Tuesdays with the latest on the Cleveland Browns.
Mary Kay, good to see you. We were talking before before we go back to the Ravens game, looking ahead to the Steelers. We asked the question before, where does this upcoming game rank in terms of most anticipated regular season games since the team's been back in '99? Where does it rank for you? I mean, it's got to be near the top, right?
Well, it's right up there. But when I look back to 2020, that was another season where some of these games meant everything in the world for the Browns to be able to make the playoffs. So that was another season where, you had to have these almost must-win games if you wanted to achieve your goals. So that was a season. But other than that, there haven't been many seasons where the Browns had everything, on the line, or many things on the line. So this is absolutely huge. Once again, if they want to go out there and plant their flag and seize the moment and win that AFC North.
Mary Kay, what can you tell us about Deshaun's ankle?
I saw him limping, times when you guys probably couldn't see that. There in person, I saw that it was bothering him during the game. I saw him walk out in a walking boot. I got a little bit of video of that. So, yeah, it's an issue, but I don't know how much of an issue it is by the time we get to Sunday. Maybe he'll be okay by then. We're not going to know a whole lot about it until we get out there on Wednesday, tomorrow, and he kind of tells us how he feels and how he's doing, and if we see him still in the walking boot. But at any time your quarterback suffers any kind of an injury, it is a concern. So it's something to keep an eye on this week.
Mary Kay, how did they – I keep forgetting his name. What is his name? The left tackle?
Jaron Christian.
Jaron Christian.
How the heck did they get him to play so well in like 3 days?
Well, he has played for Bill Callahan before. He was drafted by Washington in the 3rd round when Bill Callahan was there. So Bill Callahan has a familiarity with him, and he has 16 starts under his belt. So this is a player who's been around. He is a 6-year veteran. And those guys, the game has slowed down for them a little bit, and they know what they're looking at. So I would say that was it. He has experience, and he is well-versed in the Bill Callahan way of doing things.
Mary Kay, I need to ask you about my favorite Browns player because he left the game with injury, Denzel Ward. Do you have any update on him? Will he be fine for Sunday? And luckily it wasn't a concussion.
Yeah, fortunately, it was not another concussion because that would have been his 5th as a Brown, and that's just way too many. So it is a minor neck injury, believed to be like a neck strain at this point. But from everything I understand, he should be okay. It's not, something serious. And of course, we know he will do everything he can to be out there in this big football game on Sunday. So he underwent an MRI yesterday as well, but it's nothing too bad right now. So good for him because they will need him on Sunday.
DeJuan Jones, obviously, we're looking at his status coming back. Juan Thornhill got banged up in this game, Mary Kay. What's David Bell, I guess? What are the latest on those guys and maybe anybody else we're still forgetting about injury-wise?
Too.
Well, you know what? I remember, yes, I do remember talking, we talked to DeJuan Jones on Friday, and we asked him about this Pittsburgh Steelers game, and he said he wasn't 100% sure that he would be able to be back for this game either. So, we're just going to have to see how that goes. And I think that this game is more important to have your 2 tackles really at the ready and stout because of their tremendous edge rushers. The Pittsburgh Steelers have better edge rushers than the Baltimore Ravens did when you're talking about TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. So you need to be on point at the tackle positions. So the Browns are really hoping to get DeWand back. And again, we'll know more about that tomorrow. As far as Marquise Goodwin, that's a concussion. So, when we get out there, we'll figure out if he is going to practice or not. And then Juan Thornhill, he also walked out in a boot with a calf injury. Sometimes, though, when you see a guy walking out in a boot on Sunday, they're fine for the next week. So I know that all these guys are working really, really hard to get back, and I'm sure some of them will be back.
Mary Kay, after seeing these performances by Deshaun Watson up until this point, how confident are you that he can actually lead the Browns to a Super Bowl?
I'm pretty confident. I think that this is a football team right now. When I look out at the Cleveland Browns, I think this is a team that can beat anyone. I really do. I think that all they have to do is get into the tournament, and I think there are a lot of teams in the NFL that would want no part of the Cleveland Browns, especially defensively. So, I just think anything can happen, and that Browns fans should go ahead and get excited. And I know it's a roller coaster ride. One week, you think, oh my goodness, the sky is falling. The next week you think, my goodness, they can win a Super Bowl. But I think on balance, this is a team that there's no reason why they can't beat anyone in the NFL. I can't think of a team out there where they would not have a chance to go out there and win the game. And we couldn't always say that in previous years, but we can say it now. And one of the reasons we can say it is because they do have Deshaun Watson. And if PJ Walker were starting the rest of the year, I don't know if I would be saying this. But the fact that they have Deshaun back, and I think Deshaun is extremely hungry and motivated to go out there and accomplish his goals, which, of course, are winning a Super Bowl. So now I think they have an elite quarterback that can match up with their elite defense, and I do think the sky is the limit for this team this season.
Mary Kay, you've been around on this team. You've been around the rivalry with the Browns and the Steelers. And, of course, the Browns and the fans and people are going to be hyped up about this. The players are going to come out and say all the right stuff. Just one game. Next of every game, the next game is the most important. But you got to tell it like it is, Mary Kay. This to me is one of the biggest games, the Browns-Steelers, the game I can remember. Where does this fall in for you, given that you've seen this rivalry and the importance of this game specifically?
Well, just specifically, this could mean the difference between winning the division and not winning the division. And if you win the division, you can get home field advantage and all kinds of great things can happen. It's the avenue that you want to take into the playoffs. So it's an enormous game from that standpoint. Because the Steelers are the only team in the division with a 2-0 record in the AFC North. I mean, this is a tiebreaker situation. You need to have this. You've already been beaten once by the Steelers, so you want the head-to-head tiebreaker, and you need the division tiebreaker. There are so many reasons it's an important game, and it could also be, by Sunday afternoon, it could be a battle for first place in the AFC North. I mean, think about that. First place in the AFC North after 10 games. Cleveland Browns. That's what's at stake here. It's huge, and the players know it. They're really good at playing at home. So I think, the Browns have that going for them. They're tremendous at home, and they have a score to settle here. They lost 26-22 in Pittsburgh. They kind of got their butts kicked there a little bit, and there's going to be everything to play for on Sunday.
Mary Kay, what was your favorite play from this past Sunday's game? I mean, there was a ton of them to pick from, but which one is the one that was like, you know what, there they go?
Like you said, there were a ton of them, but I almost think it was the 16-yard run by Deshaun Watson, because he went out there on a gimpy ankle and he said, I'm going to strap this team on my back and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do whatever it takes, and it doesn't matter that this is killing me. I'm going to run 16 yards for a first down and really, really help Dustin Hopkins get in position for this game-winning kick. So that's the one I'm going to give it to.
Mary Kay, we've seen the Browns not only get their ass kicked in the score of the game, but get beat down physically so many times over so many years by the Ravens and Steelers. And it feels like the worm is turned, right? Like that game, that play where Jerome Ford ran and the entire offensive line pushed him down the field. When David Njoku takes Geno Stone and picks him up like he's Michael Orr in The Blind Side throwing the kid over the fence. I mean, he picked him up basically, threw him 11 yards down the field. The Browns used to get pushed around by these teams all the time, and they've said enough, and that has stopped. And that to me was those two plays were my favorite because it showed the toughness that this team has that they haven't had in the past.
It's like a blocking slide.
Yeah, there's definitely a toughness going on, and you're right. The Browns used to get pushed around, and I think sometimes the Steelers and the Ravens still think that they're dealing with the Browns of old.
Yes.
But these are not yesterday's Cleveland Browns. These are today's Browns, and I'll tell you what, I mean, this defense stacks up, obviously, with any defense in the NFL. It might be the best defense in the NFL. It is the top-ranked one. It might be the best. Now, they're going to have to go out and prove it again against one of the best defenses in the NFL. They have to show that, they're not going to back down to T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith and Cam Hayward and all of the great defenders that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. So they have another kind of statement game coming up. But I'll tell you what, this is a defense that Cleveland Browns fans should be really, really excited about and proud of. And as I've mentioned to you guys before, it's the best one I've covered.
You mentioned that it does feel like this is a different team. It feels like there's a different culture. Let's give credit for that. Where does it go? Is the bulk of it Jim Schwartz, and then you dole it out to a lot of the defensive players? What's the impetus of this culture change?
It can be spread all around, okay? I'm going to start with Kevin Stefanski. He took this team to the Greenbrier for team bonding and camaraderie, and I really feel like a lot of it started there, where they really developed a kinship and a brotherhood there. So that was that. Then they did the same thing. They went to Philadelphia, and they spent, 4 or 5 days in Philadelphia, and, they got really close-knit there. In the off-season, Deshaun Watson was hosting offensive passing camps, and they were going to Puerto Rico and doing a bunch of things together. So the brotherhood had started in the offseason, and it has continued on. And then you bring in a Jim Schwartz and a Bubba Ventrone, and these guys have really instilled more of that culture. So I think it's widespread. On top of that, you bring in players. That just have this inherent leadership about them and a fire and an energy about them. And before you know it, you've got, a team that's playing with their hair on fire. And that's what's going on here. When you bring in the Zadarius Smiths and the Obo Okoronkwo's and the Juan Thornhills, and you throw them into that defense, it's like throwing gasoline onto a fire and seeing it just take off. I mean, these guys are having fun together. They're cheering each other on. They're playing together. And I think there's something very, very special about this football team.
Mary Kay, James Prochet, like 2 weeks ago against Arizona, he looked like, okay, we finally have an impact player on punt returns. And then obviously the big fumble, thankfully they were able to make up for it. But we can't have that bad fumble. Are they going to let that go because he showed some good stuff the week before and stick with him there? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's tough. I I don't know. They don't have a ton of other candidates right now. So, they might have to stick with him a little bit. Yeah, that was very, very difficult. I said after the game, he's a former Raven. I said he finally made a play for Baltimore. So,
wow, Mary Kay, killing him.
But I was just kidding. No, James has done some nice things, and I think they'll stick with him. And I think he's going to put that behind him. There were a lot of special teams things that did not go right in that game, and they've got to clean up those errors. You cannot be a liability on anytime that special team steps there. You have to do something good or great. You've got to create good field position. You can't fumble. You can't miss an extra point. You can't get 12 men on the field penalty. You can't do those kinds of things. You've got, it was an up and down special teams. I mean, you had a blocked field goal. That was great. You got the game winner and those kinds of things, but you cannot have all those other mistakes.
Mary Kay, you've been covering this team the whole year, and they went out and got Mike Ford for special teams purposes. I mean, I think he's a really good gunner and things like that. But he had to step in last game at corner where he had a nice hit on Lamar. He had the pick. What can you tell us about?
He also gave the touchdown on Odell.
Stop talking about. We stay positive, boy.
Good and
what
bad.
can you tell us about Mike Ford? What have things that you've seen? Were you surprised that he was able to do these type of things?
You know what? He's just another one of those guys that they brought in that brings a lot of fire, a lot of energy, a lot of leadership. He's just one of those guys that just runs through a wall every single day, and he's out there obviously doing the best he can. And yes, occasionally you will get beat one-on-one by Odell Beckham Jr. because Odell is he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, and he's going to make his plays. But, Mike stepped in there, did a nice job on defense, and he's been a star on special teams for the most part this season. Great addition by the Browns.
Mary Kay, one of the guys that I've just been enjoying watching, and it's just more about his story and his play on the field. You go back, you look at Kareem Hunt. He wanted the long-term extension, didn't get it. They end up, bringing him back. You end up bringing him back after Nick Chubb goes down. And his trajectory of what he's being brought to the team is it just seems like he's bringing toughness. He's bringing his personality to the game. And, I'm comfortable when I see Nick Chubb going in on short yardage plays because I know Kareem Hunt is going to get them 1 or 2 yards, especially on the goal line. How has his attitude been in him being back into the fold, especially playing for his hometown team, which I think he really, prides himself for doing?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's the touchdown maker. That was the 5th game in which he has scored a touchdown. And when you get him on the goal line, he's going to get in there. He's going to pound it in there. He's a bruiser, and he forms a nice 1-2 punch with Jerome Ford, who's more of your home run hitter. So they have found a way to accomplish the running game, and they're doing a really nice job. And it's kind of fun to see Kareem have an opportunity to go through what he went through, to be out of football, once again, not knowing if he's going to get back in, and to be here for his hometown team, knowing that they have a chance to make it to the playoffs and possibly the Super Bowl, which is what he wants more than anything, to win a Super Bowl for his hometown Browns. So that kind of heart and grit and soul and energy is exactly what this team needs.
And Mary Kay, let's wrap it up with some love for Jerome Ford, because I know on this panel, myself 100% included, I was done watching Jerome Ford. I wanted to see Pierre Strong. I still like Pierre Strong, but Jerome Ford, by far his best game. He was fantastic yesterday or Sunday.
Well, the thing that you have to remember about Jerome Ford is that he suffered a high ankle sprain just a couple of weeks ago. That is an injury that sometimes keeps a player out of action, especially a running back, out of action for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe even longer than that sometimes. And he hasn't missed a beat. I mean, I was shocked the week after that where I went out to practice, and there he was going individual agility drills and looking really good. So you have to give him credit for showing up. Availability is so vitally important, and now you're seeing him getting stronger and better.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Good stuff. It's a lot of fun when the team's winning, isn't it?
It is fun. I think it's going to be a really, really cool and fun next couple of months.
Nice.
I hope you're right.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Mary Kay. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and it's funny what a win against a divisional opponent on the road like that can do for the entire city's psyche.
Oh, yeah.
It's just crazy.
You know, fans are often critical of beat reporters or media members for being negative about a team. But the truth is, it's more, we all want the Browns to win. No matter how big a fan you are of the team, it's more fun for our jobs when the team's good.
A lot easier.
And
a lot easier.
We love to segue that into from the Browns to bashing the Cavs. Stay with us.
Yeah.
We're gonna welcome Kelly Holcomb to the show in about 10 minutes. He'll make his debut. But we're gonna spend the next 10 minutes talking a little Cavs, and our Cavs talk today is brought to us by Jace Medical. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use, giving you peace of mind. So you're not just hoping you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have that medication in hand, and it's simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care, so you don't get caught unprepared. Get $20 off these life-saving antibiotics today from Jace Medical by using promo code LOCKDOWN at checkout at jacemedical.com. That is promo code LOCKDOWN at jacemedical.com. So the Cavs lost last night. They are now 4-6 on the season. They have one more game on their West Coast road trip. They beat Golden State. They had lost to Oklahoma City. They have lost now to Sacramento. They play Portland tomorrow. And I want to read you a quote from Donovan Mitchell after last night's game. And Jay, because you ignored my call this morning, the morning call, you didn't see we made a little pivot to the Cavs topic. But this is a direct quote, according to Cleveland.com, from Chris Fedor, from Donovan Mitchell after last night's loss. And I quote, "I said, come to me after Game 10. Well, this was Game 10. We got to figure this shit out. I think the biggest thing right now is finding a new level of consistency." He goes on to say that offensively, defensively, they haven't been consistent. They've dealt with injuries. And for a team that was expected to take the next step forward, they have taken a step backwards through 10 games of the season. Now, granted, it is 10 games of an 82-game season. It is too early for any oversweeping generalizations. But, guys, when you hear Donovan Mitchell say, quote, "Come to me after Game 10. Well, this was Game 10. We got to figure this shit out." Is that a shot at the coach?
Well, the first thing I think is he's throwing the coach right under the bus.
I think
exactly
he backed
what
up
he
over
did.
the coach.
I mean,
and by the way, I think that's okay.
It's warranted. It's warranted.
see, I got a big problem with that because if you didn't like if the team didn't like the coach, if you're going to fire, let's say Bickerstaff gets fired, because that may happen here, right?
It feels like that's
then
where
you
we're
should
going.
have fired him at the end of last year.
Listen, you're not wrong.
Because if you think
you're not wrong.
Everybody
if you
was
were
saying that.
If you were that close to considering firing him, then why'd you waste the whole offseason with him here?
Bull, you're absolutely right. I thought after the big question on Bickerstaff was, let's see what he does in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He comes in as the better seed. He has home court advantage. They laid a colossal dinosaur egg.
Huge.
At that point, I said, he's not it. He is not it. Because, as you guys know, when the playoffs roll around, what is it all about? Defense and rotation, matchups. He failed at every turn on matchups and rotation.
Which is funny because he harped on defense.
Right. Well, but
I know, but when they needed it in the regular season, it wasn't there. But more importantly, I thought his rotations were off.
Well, they got out.
And so I'm not like you're saying. Well, I don't agree with that. If why didn't you do it last year? Yes, should have been done last year.
It's not that I don't agree with firing him this year. It's that it's a negative sign of the organization
that
you waited.
I couldn't agree more.
Because who knows, if you had brought in another coach, maybe this whole season, maybe Mobley does not look like he's moved forward.
Not at all.
He is not.
Same player.
He hasn't progressed at all.
No.
That was my number one talking point.
Yes.
Was going to be what you just said. We keep hearing that this team's going to go as far as Mobley takes them.
Yeah.
Every year there's got to be progression. He looks like the same guy. And I blame the organization and the coach 100%.
For that. And now what's going to happen? Donovan Mitchell don't like the coach. The coach is going to get fired, and then Donovan Mitchell's going to get traded next year.
Well, unless
he's a free agent.
They hit it out of the park with whoever they hire, and that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to ask Donovan if they do make a move from JB. They will say, Donovan, who do you want to be the head coach of the Cavaliers?
But
he's
going
to handpick his own guy.
Leaves, like what?
Listen, at this point, everything you do has to be geared towards getting him to stay. If you let's extrapolate this out. If you do it over 82 games, their record is 36-46.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
it's 38-44. Okay. It's not good. They're not 500, and he's leaving. Fix it now. And there's been plenty of examples where teams started horrifically. If you're going to do it, the first 10 games, is the time to do it.
And get who?
My guess is they lose to Portland, and he doesn't come home with the team.
And
They've got some assistant coaches.
Don't ask me. I don't have an answer for you.
Well, Jason, who's the guy?
So Dave Yeager.
Dave Yeager,
Yeah, Dave
right.
Yeager.
Dave Yeager
probably
was brought in as a consultant. Dave Yeager has former NBA head coaching experience.
Right.
He was on the bench for the Sixers last year.
Yes.
The reason he is no longer an NBA head coach is he had some cancer stuff and had to step back
Right.
medically. But he did not get fired from Memphis, or he was not asked to leave Sacramento because he wasn't doing a good job.
Right.
He had to take a step back to focus on his own health.
My guess is he's the most logical choice.
I mean, they have Luke Walton on the staff, and he's been a coach.
He's been a head coach.
But I don't
The
see
problem
that.
with the Cavs is this. The problem is
Get Mark Jackson back.
I don't know what the heck Mark Jackson did. They didn't give
He got
him no
blackballed for life.
They got him up out of here good. Problem with the Cavs is this. They don't have an offensive identity. I knew it was going to be a problem when you watch these games. When you saw Max Strus coming off, dribbling the ball up, trying to play make. I'm like, what is Max Strus playmaking for? When he played for the Heat, you come off screens
one
and that's
role.
it. That's one role.
Catch and shoot.
I'm like, Niang. Now listen, I know Niang is not going. They call him the minivan or something, but he was not that big in Philadelphia. Mikey McNuggets, George Niang has put on at least 20 pounds. He's put on 20. He has never been that big.
Niang has never had the prototypical NBA body. He may look
Is
a
he
half
right,
step
though?
slow.
Does he look bigger to you?
It could be the colors. Like I don't know.
Honey,
How do you look
does
at
this dress make me look
Listen,
fat?
no, my
that's-
guy.
we don't. But here's the
And
problem.
real quick, G, with George, and even Max to an extent, Strus, shooters sometimes just take a little bit to get going, and they certainly have. Strus is shooting 37%. You live with that. Niang has not been what he was last year.
but-
they need to step up, but it's still too early to say.
But
those
no.
have been bad
Here's what
signings.
I'm saying, McNuggets, though, is when you talk about Max Strus, I'm talking about, we talk about Kevin Stefanski in the way that he goes about situation. I'm not worried about him shooting. I'm worried about where he gets his shots and with the context of it. What is the offense where we're running something where we're going to get a double pin down or some baseline action and get him going? Nothing. When you look at Evan Mobley, there is no go-to move. Like, you guys have scouts and people on your staff that work with guys to get a go-to move. He still doesn't have one. And on top of it, the scary part is the Cavs were the number one defensive team in the league last year. And the reason why they were number one defensive team in the league is because they had young players who sold out during the regular season, and they got them to buy in that you guys have to play hard every single night. Now, as you get 3 years in, and Evan Mobley's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and Darius Garland got his money, and you got other guys coming in, Karis LeVert has gotten paid. Now it's like, well, we're veterans now. We might want to play like the rest of these teams. Like, let's go ahead and coast and get the 5th seed or 6th seed, and we'll turn it on. But the problem is you don't have the talent to turn it on. You don't have the toughness that showed you need to play in the playoffs.
That's my fear.
And
And
you
so-
don't have the street cred, if you will, because those teams have won things.
Yeah, they've
You
won
don't do
stuff.
that before you won anything.
My fear is that they lack toughness.
They let the Kings shoot 58% from 3.
Yeah, Sacramento was on fire.
There's no closeouts. It's no fire.
Well, I feel bad for JB because the worst thing has happened.
The star has turned.
Kevin Stefanski then started winning games, and all of the eyes went to him.
You son of a, you dirty.
It ain't no more
Facts.
fire Stefanski.
And
It has all gone to JB, and he by himself.
The Tiki Torch mob is moseying their way down to Rocket Mortgage
By the-
Field House.
for the first time since however long, certainly since I've been in Cleveland, I'm not going to say they're the best franchise. They're not the best franchise, but the Browns are the best team in Cleveland right now.
And that's never been the case.
It's been a while.
Like ever. Like, and here's the thing. Even with the new coach gonna get a honeymoon, Tyvus.
Yeah.
And with the Guardians, Vogt gonna get a whole smooth honeymoon.
Oh, he's such a great guy. Jay said you won't hire a guy that's better.
The Guardians will be
Great
pretty good.
guy.
And
So
the
that right there gets you 3
And the
years.
Cavs will be better.
Get you 3, right?
But this Cavs team
It's a
just
one.
feels like to me like one of those teams that, like the Hawks or the Pacers, that they go to the playoffs and
Like
they lose
Utah.
in the first round.
You know what
Utah.
Cleveland loves overachievement. They love it. This team right now is underachieving.
Yeah.
And the city doesn't have much tolerance for underachievers.
And they don't have much tolerance from outsiders saying stuff in the media. If you look, Deshaun Watson just now getting out of there. He had to break an ankle, have a shoulder injury, and lead a touchdown, improbable. Now you got Donovan Mitchell. Now look, the Cavs gave up 3 first-round draft picks. So did the Browns. So as this thing keeps going, that pressure is going to build and mount on Donovan Mitchell. Not the rest of them, him. He's the second-team All-NBA guy, and they're going to start to say, Are you the best player on a NBA championship team, Donovan, or are you just a guy that is overrated a little bit?
Scores a lot of points.
Gee, I just took a peek in the chat. They all say they're screaming trade Darius Garland.
Really?
That's not going to happen.
No,
not going to happen.
Everybody in the chat, well,
it's a few,
not going to happen.
Few comments.
And one thing on the Cavs, and then we're going to bring in Kelly Holcomb here. But last season, to what you said, the Cavs, the best defensive team in the league. But the fact they won 50 games was because of their defense. Their offense was middle of the pack, average, as you say, Minimowski. This year, the defense has reverted to 16th in the league in points per game allowed. They've gone from 1 to 16. They dropped 15 spots. The offense still lacks the creativity and playmaking to score the top teams in the league. So if they're not playing defense, they're not going to win. But let's go back to a little Browns talk, and we are welcomed, and we are thrilled to have Kelly Holcomb joining the program. Kelly, former Browns quarterback. We have Tim on every week, and now we have Kelly Holcomb joining the program. Kelly, thank you so much for taking some time. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. How y'all doing?
Kelly, great to see you, man.
Yeah.
Great to see you. How do you?
Y'all have.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So y'all have marble. So y'all have marble mouth on every weekend, Timmy?
Yes, we do.
Every Friday, yeah.
Shots fired. He's on the show 10 seconds, and he's already fired his first shot. You're going to fit in just fine here, Kelly. Hey, Kelly, how do you watch the Browns these days?
Man, it's. I figured y'all were going to ask me that question, but I don't watch them much, man. I'll be honest with you.
Wow.
I don't. You know, we've got free access to all the games, and you know what? I don't even divvy into it, man. I golf now, and I keep up with it. I do keep up with it because I have a podcast, so I have to keep up with it. But I don't. I watch them all, man. I don't really get too detailed. I don't really get too detailed in the in all that, but I still watch games, but I'm not as involved as I used to be.
Kelly, what was your favorite Browns memory when you was the quarterback for the Browns?
Man, just there were so many good times there. Now we didn't do a great deal of winning, which kind of sucked. But you know, I was able to compete with Tim to start. You know, the playoff game is what everybody remembers me from. When we lost to the Steelers, that was probably the coolest game I've ever been in. Although everybody asked me about that game, and it was awful because the way we lost that game, we should have never lost that game. We were up 33-13, and we were about to go into the fourth quarter, and then they score. And then, you know, everything got sidetracked. So, yeah, I remember that game. I can remember the Cincinnati game where, you know, it was back and forth when I was going against Carson Palmer, and we were kind of rolling. They were rolling. Neither defense could stop the other one. I had 5 touchdowns. You know, Carson did really well, too, and they ended up beating us at the end. So there's a lot of good moments. I don't know if I could pinpoint one.
You know, Kelly, listen, you go back to that playoff game, and during this time period where, you know, you guys had you and Tim Couch, we used to always have this saying. We used to have a saying that Kelly Holcomb has a different playbook. It just seemed like when you came in the game, they was like, yo, we're going to go with the teacup formation, and you were slinging it all over the place, the Quincy Morgans, the Andre Davises. Like, how
wow.
You know, was it something that you guys, you know, when you got in the game, it just seemed like y'all was wide open, throwing the ball everywhere?
I don't know if that was the case. I do, man. You brought up some old names, man. I'm still on a text with all those guys, with Andre Davis, with Cuddy, with Northcutt, with Andre King, with Quincy Morgan, with KJ. So I'm still on a thread with those guys. I don't know. It was just it was a deal where, you know, where a team, you know, gets ready for one guy, and then another guy comes in. They're not ready, and I was with Bruce for a long time in Indianapolis, and he brought me to Cleveland, and I kind of knew the offense in and out, and I just came in, and I was accurate with the football. Bruce trusted me, and it kind of went from there. It really wasn't anything. I just was able to come into some games and able to finally start. But then when I started, I couldn't stay healthy. It was. I think about that sometimes. I tell people all the time, man. It was tough because when I got my opportunity, I couldn't stay healthy. That was kind of my NFL career, which I got some opportunities and just could not stay healthy, and that was one of those deals. But I enjoyed it, man. And I don't know if the playbook changed, but I think Bruce had a lot of trust in me, and he knew that I'd been in the offense for a long time, and I think that's why you saw that. You guys are kind of you got 7 years, man. You're shafting me 6. I ended up playing for 13, so dang.
Let's go.
Who made that?
Straight
Who made
that
that
graphic.
It was his Browns.
Hey, Kelly over here sharp. He's like, I ain't playing with y'all
Earl
up
just
here,
put his Brown
Cleveland.
stats on there.
Hey, give me my flowers.
I love Kelly comes in here throwing jabs.
I like that. Don't mess around there. You're screwing up the stats. Kelly, players often to the public, to the media, will downplay rivalry games. But in reality, in the locker room, do these games mean more when you're playing the Steelers?
Yeah, absolutely. They do mean more, but I don't know. It's become more of a rivalry now that the Browns have started winning some of those games. Yeah. But when we played, we couldn't beat them. I think when I was there, we beat them maybe once. I think it was. I can't remember the game, but Tim played really well, and I think we beat those guys once. So yeah, it is a different deal. But when it comes down to it, it's still a game. But everybody says, well, the Steelers and the Browns are a rivalry. Well, when I played, it wasn't much of a rivalry because if it's a rivalry, both teams have to win some games.
Yeah.
And, man, they were squashing us year in and year out, and I hate that because I cannot stand the Steelers to this day. So
yeah, baby. That's right. We love Kelly Holcomb.
I'm with you all, man. I cannot. Everybody talks about the Steelers. I absolutely hate the Steelers.
What's your best story from a Steelers game that would make us hate them even more?
Ooh. Good.
Oh, wow. Guys, y'all are making me think a lot, man. I got knocked out quite a bit, so I don't know if my memory can recollect that.
So did Couch.
I'm not
right.
We didn't have, everybody's talking about the Tennessee Titans down here where I live, and they can't block anybody. And it was funny because Tim and I were texting back and forth the other day on Sunday, and we were talking about that same situation because they can't block anybody, and it was kind of like the offensive lines that we had when we first got there. We just couldn't protect. And Tim got killed when I went in. I got beat up pretty good too. So you have to have guys up front. But yeah, I don't know if there's any stories. I got Troy Polamalu paid a couple of times. I wish he would send me a roll yet. So I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any stories that I could tell that y'all would hate him anymore, but I can't remember many stories, to be honest with you.
Kelly, what was it like going up against Tim Couch, competing for the starting quarterback job?
It was just competition. I think that's what breeds success in that league. I think the college game is kind of with this transfer portal, which I know guys transfer, but I talked to my buddy Tom Moore, who's 85 years old, still coaching for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I said, I want your job, and we were talking about that, and he was like, nobody wants to compete anymore, and I think that's what makes that game and professional ball so good is competition. And I think people try to pin myself and Tim against each other, like we didn't like each other. We're really good friends. We were really good friends then. It just was a situation where, hey, Tim got hurt a little bit. He didn't play as well, and there was a lot of circumstances that came into that situation. But it was enjoyable for me, man. I was just finally given an opportunity. I'd hung around. I'd been to Indianapolis and been behind Peyton, and there was no shot there. And he didn't allow anybody to get a shot in there because he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. But Bruce took me with him to Cleveland, and, when you get your opportunity, everybody wants to play. Everybody says, well, you were the backup. You got the best job in the world. Well, it's not the best job in the world if you're a competitor. I don't want to sit over there and watch somebody else play, and a lot of guys do. I was not that guy, and I was able to get my opportunity. But, like I said earlier, when I got my opportunity, I never could stay healthy. I never could stay on the field. So that was a sucky part of my career. So,
Kelly, did you know Peyton Manning was going to be? I mean, obviously he had a ton of hype coming out of college, but did you know he was going to be as good as he was? For sure.
I don't think anybody knows how anybody's going to be. Now, he obviously had the pedigree. His dad, had played for a long time. Peyton is a different, he was a different guy. I learned a lot of stuff from Peyton, even though I was the older guy. Man, his work ethic is I've heard about Tom Brady's as well, and all the good ones have really good work ethics. But, Peyton had a really good work ethic, and I can remember one day when he was a rookie. And there was a deal where Tom Moore was trying to get him. We had a sluggo, a slant and go. So we had a slant and go to the one receiver's side. Then backside, we had a seam and a hitch. Well, they were telling us, because everything was under center most of the time. And we took a 3-step drop, then we would pump, and then we would shuffle back 2 steps. Well, Peyton could not get that. And I can remember him staying out there, and I'm like, this dude is a nerd, because he stayed out there. And he had the film crew film him so he could fix that problem. And that's kind of sums Peyton up. He watched so much film. He was very prepared. I can remember when we were playing the Miami Dolphins, and after the game and during the week after, we had beat the Dolphins, but Tom Moore was telling a story where some of the assistant coaches came up after the game and told him we were going to try to corner cat or corner crash him, bring a corner blitz on the first play of the game. And half the team was saying, we're going to get him, and the other half says, no, he's going to find us out. Well, they went ahead and did it. Well, Peyton saw it, got it blocked up. We got a big play on the very first play of the game. So that was the kind of dude that Peyton was, and I learned a great deal from him. I really did.
Wow. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, Kelly, I like to ask any former quarterback we have come on the show this question, but if you could create your optimal offense, so your quarterback, you get a play caller, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a running back. Who is fitting around Kelly Holcomb to create the most unstoppable show on turf?
Oh, gosh, man. Y'all are asking some tough questions right here. Put me on the spot. You know what? I like the tight end. Now is this when I'm playing, or is this just all time?
Forever.
All time.
Whenever, all time.
All
Yeah.
time.
So receivers, I got to go with the guy I played with in Indianapolis, Marvin Harrison, as my split end. I'd say a couple of weeks ago I got to interview Gronk. We had a boys and girls club deal up here, and they asked me to ask the questions because he wanted the question and answer session. So I'd have to go with Gronk as my tight end. Running back, man, I played with Marshall Faulk. He was really good, really smart guy, probably the smartest dude I've ever played with. When you're back there, I can remember playing with him a couple of times. He was like, hey, the Sam linebacker's coming. You need to put me over there. And I'm like, oh, hey, you go. I was a rookie. And I'm like, yeah, you go. But he was one of the smarter guys I've ever had. Split end, golly, man, this is it's got to be. I'd love to play with obviously Jerry Rice if I could. Wow. I think everybody would love to play with Jerry Rice. Although when we played out there one time, we was at Indianapolis and we played San Francisco, and it was when Steve Young was there. And man, like Jerry Rice, every time he didn't catch the ball, he was always looking around for a flag. So I didn't really dig that about him. But he played for a long time, so there's a reason that he's a Hall of Famer. Did you want a fullback or you want another receiver?
Give us a fullback. We got to have a fullback. That's
let's go old
right
school.
there. Yeah.
A fullback. I guess you'd have to say Moose Johnson or the Juszczyk guy that's out in San Francisco right now. They're pretty good players. Yeah, they're pretty good players. So
very good.
I don't know if that's the offense I would run now, a regular offense. I don't know if I'd go with 21 personnel. I'd probably go with something else. But if that's where you're going with me, that's probably where I'd go.
Kelly, what's the biggest difference in the game today from when you played?
Too many flags. Good gracious, can we stop the flags?
It's awful. Sometimes it's unwatchable.
It's unwatchable. It's like I'm sitting there there's no I thought referees, and I understand that. I get it. But like referees are supposed to be, they're not supposed to be seen like that. Let the guys finish the game. Now the other night, I was watching my Bills, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with the pass interference call. I don't know if that affected him that bad. But when you got 12 guys on the field, you got to call that. But and I'm a quarterback too. I'm a quarterback, and I would have loved to play in these rules now because they don't literally get to touch. They don't get to touch the quarterback at all. So I'm not a fan of that because I think if you get some pressure on the quarterback and you start hitting him, it's a different game. I don't care who you are. You can put Peyton, you can put Tom Brady, you can put Drew Brees, you can put all those guys back there. If you start hitting them consistently, the game changes in your favor. And they're just not allowing that stuff. I cannot stand the flags. I don't like all that stuff. They've tried to clean the game up. I like the targeting stuff because I don't think you need to lower your head because that's protecting the guy that's making the hit too. So I like what they've done with that. But, man, the competition committee's got to go back in, and they got to look at this and say, hey, we're calling way too many flags during a game. Let's cut some of this out and let the flow of the game and let the guys actually play to win the game, not us calling it jeopardizing the game.
I'd love to see a study or a stat on exactly what you just talked about because I was watching with some friends a couple of weeks ago, and we said the same thing, and we're all older, so we remember watching football in the 80s and 90s. I would love to see how many penalties on average there were in the 80s and 90s compared to today because it just seems like you can't go a series without a flag being thrown. It's crazy.
Well, you see some of those old films with the Raiders and their safeties coming up just trying to decapitate people. Or you see Dick Butkus back in the day, man, trying to he's throwing a forearm shiver to a guy right up under the throat. I mean, it's a violent game. We get that. I totally understand that. And some of the rules have to change, but it's still always going to be a violent game unless you keep going, and then at some point it's going to be flag football. And I don't think people want to see that. I mean, you kind of look at it as gladiators. Guys are in there. We understand the circumstances. We understand what we're getting ourselves involved in. But I get why the NFL is doing it. I agree with some of that. But they're making some of these helmets now with the concussions. I tell people all the time, and they don't believe me, but there's more concussions in soccer than there are in football, but people don't want to believe that because all you hear about is football. They're trying to demonize that in football, and they're making some of this stuff so safe now. But I love the game. I hear a lot of guys that retired that says, with the concussion stuff, and I had a bunch of them, but I promise you I would do the same thing over and over because, and some of those guys say, well, I don't think I would do it again. I don't know if I'd play football. That's a bunch of bull because I would play it over again. If I wasn't 50 years old and I didn't have to take some shots to get myself warmed up, I'd go back out there tomorrow and try to play.
I love it.
Kelly, what? I feel the same way, actually. Kelly, looking at your Browns career, if the game is on the line, okay, and you had to have it with a wide receiver, are you taking Kevin Johnson or Dennis Northcutt?
Oh, that's wow.
You got to ask.
Wow, that's a tough question, man. Golly,
I know that.
I'm throwing some out there. There's guys when you come into organizations. The first day when I walked into the Browns organization, I had something going on with Dennis Northcutt. I can't explain it. I don't understand it. But you just have certain synergy with guys that you know what he's going to do before he does it. Dennis Northcutt was that guy for me. He could break off a route, and I totally knew what he was going to do. Now, KJ probably had the best set of hands. He and Marvin, and they both played at Syracuse. So you got to give that wide receiver coach up there. They should have given him a raise back in the day because those two guys were the best ball catchers I've ever been around. KJ had unbelievable hands. He struggled a little bit sometimes getting off the ball, but man, he could catch anything in his catch radius. He was going to catch it. But if you're asking me, I'd have to go with Northcutt because I just had something going on. It was telepathic with Dennis Northcutt. I love him, and I hate when people always bring up, well, if you would have caught that ball in the Steelers game. Well, you know what? And you're right, and people are right when they say that. But Cuddy caught 2 balls in that game to keep us in that game and to get that lead that we had. He played really well that day. He had a huge punt return, and everybody makes mistakes, and unfortunately he made that mistake at that time. But man, I can't say anything bad about Dennis Northcutt. He was my guy that I wanted to throw to, and I love throwing to him.
Kelly, last question before we get you out of here. We appreciate your time coming on with us today. We got Deshaun Watson now at quarterback. He led a last second drive against the Ravens the other day. And did you guys feel the pressure to become a franchise quarterback for the Browns? Because we everyone laughs at the Browns with the old jersey with all the other different names and things like that. But I always say, playing for the Browns at quarterback is like, finding, Lord of the Rings, right? Everybody wants everybody wants that guy back there, like Precious. Everybody wants the ring. Did you feel pressure, for the outside, the fans, the media, to become that dude and to, be the next, franchise guy for the Browns?
I don't think so. I don't think I felt that way. I was a little perturbed with our coach because I think he pitted Tim and myself against each other. And he'd probably deny that, but I just felt like in the back of our minds when I started, I felt like that if I played bad, Tim was going to come into the game. And I know that Tim, because we've talked about it before, and he felt the same way when I started playing. He felt like if he didn't play good, then they were going to make a change. And as a quarterback, you cannot play in that circumstance, in that situation. You cannot have that lingering over you. I don't think we felt pressure from the outside, but I think we felt pressure that way. I'm glad that social media was not as heavy back then as it is now. My son plays football in college, and I've told him, man, don't listen to that stuff because it's crazy. I didn't listen to that stuff. I didn't watch Sports Center. I didn't do all that stuff. I was just kind of in my own bubble. But that was my one thing that if I could go back, I just didn't like the way that we were pitted against each other. And if one of us didn't play good, the other one was going to come in. And you guys know this, as an NFL quarterback, you've got to have total confidence that the staff, the personnel, the people, the head coach, all your coaches, they have to have the trust in you. And when you start flip-flopping back and forth, well, there's no trust there. And that kind of lingers with you, and that kind of it weighs on your mind. And that was if he would have just made that decision and gone with that decision and stuck with that decision, that would have been fine with either myself or Tim. I firmly believe that, but it was too wishy-washy, and that's kind of how his tenure there as coach was. I mean, it was all over the place. I mean, when something happened, I mean, we'd have a team meeting or this and that, and I'd just be like, just give us the game plan and let us go play.
Wow.
That's kind of the way I felt.
Yeah. Well, listen, we love your honesty, and we loved having you on. Great stuff. Great catching up with you again. And, hey, keep that right arm in shape. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, man. You know what? I can still. I tell people all the time. Tim taught me this, but I can still hit a flea off a fly's tail. But you know what? I don't want to get hit no more.
Kelly, real quick, 5 seconds. Who would win in a race? You, Tim Couch, or Bernie Kosar? Who wins?
Tim's got us both. Yeah, Tim was a good athlete. He's got us.
All right, very good. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly. Great
See
stuff. Wow, that was a fun interview.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be good right off the bat. He calls Tim Marblemouth.
Yeah.
Pull that clip from when Tim comes on Thursday.
Tim's out this week. He's back next week.
Okay.
But I texted Tim and said, Tim, there's got to be a story behind Kelly calling you Marblemouth. He goes, I've never heard that in my life. So we're going to have to do a little deep dive on that. We got some Super Chats to read, though. Whenever we read Super Chats, it is brought to us by our dearest friends over at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wycliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We got a bunch of these today, so we'll read them, and then we will wrap up the show here before we head to overtime. First one comes from JDog66, says, happy birthday, G.
Thank you.
Wyatt said, G. Bush, we got the same born day, my guy. Happy birthday.
14,
Double
shout
K
out to you.
Creative. Happy birthday, G. Hope you have an amazing day and party on Saturday. R-Mac Dog. Happy birthday, G. Bush, the people's champ, leader of the Kool-Aid Mafia. Your gift, a 27-17 win over Pittsburgh. Do you think the Dirty Birds got away with a few late hits on Watson for unnecessary roughness calls?
I saw one that I was really surprised was a call.
We don't need more calls. We need less. Kelly Holcomb's right.
But in that case, I'll take that flag.
But
People love flags on the other team. They don't have
I
flags on
really
our
do
team.
think we should look into that. I don't know if anybody's done a study or if we can find a stat. How many penalties in the average NFL game today compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? Because he's right. There's certain games this year that I'm like, I got to turn the channel.
Yeah.
I can't see this
They
anymore.
soft.
it's almost like you look for the flag when a big play happens.
SOS.
Yeah, right.
Yes, you
well,
do.
the players do.
I'm
and
like,
that's annoying.
okay,
You can't celebrate
Was
it.
it
I
good?
know you got to do more super chats. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got a couple more. I love research. I'm not going back 30 years to look up
No,
flag
somebody's
stats, so
done
I
it. We just
apologize
have to
for
find
that.
it. Somebody's done it, I'm sure.
Professor Chaos says Tyvis Powell had a huge weekend. Newsome got his first pick. Elijah Moore had his good game. So Tyvis, congratulations.
You finally got something right.
JDog66
only up from here.
said, don't forget this season's for Jim Brown. We are Super Bowl bound.
That's
Kenny
a fact.
Moss said, if Eagles beat KC, Bengals beat Baltimore, and we win, then we're tied for first in the AFC. So we could be coming out of this weekend.
My goodness. Tied
don't-
for,
hey, don't
tied
say that.
for- yeah,
Oh!
yeah. I can't say the words
oh!
home field advantage
That's
throughout.
crazy.
Like, those are 5 words we've never said.
Never.
Or 3 words.
This
Home
morning
field
I-
advantage throughout.
This morning on my podcast, I posed a question to myself. Are the Browns more likely to be the number 1 seed in the playoffs or out of the playoffs if I had to bet? And
Number
I said,
one.
Well, yeah, they're
I
a lot
said
closer to number 1 now.
They're not really not closer to number 1 than they are. I mean, they're just as close.
It's crazy. Once niggas,
Well,
They're only a game out of being out, and they're only a game out of first
Bull's right.
overall.
Yeah, it's just numerically speaking, it's a logjam of those teams.
Right, these
but
teams
they have
are
some
also
tiebreakers.
close.
it'll separate itself the last 7 weeks of the season. It always does.
Eventually, you think. But
I mean, there's going to be a logjam, but
Yeah.
all 4 teams from the North are not going to the playoffs.
probably not.
I just can't
Probably
see that
not.
happen.
Well, right now the Bengals are not in. They're the 8.
No, I know.
Texans are the 7.
yeah.
All right,
Go ahead,
next
Mike.
up's from Matthew Culpa. He said, I sent this in the postgame show. Want to say it here, too. Watson played to his contract. Stefanski coached for a new contract. Go Brownies.
Interesting.
I like that. I like that.
J-Dog66 said it's time to pay Schwartz head coach money so he stays here long term.
Yeah, I'm fearful.
Hey,
I said
I
this
was-
early on. I'm fearful that someone's going to poach him.
He's not that old. He's like 57.
Yeah, someone's going to poach him.
I was going to ask Mary Kay,
He
but we
ain't
ran out of
leaving
time.
until we can get a Super Bowl in Cleveland because he couldn't get it in Detroit, so he want to bring it to a city that never had it.
By the way, Detroit, Cleveland Browns Super Bowl is
The
not
crazy,
Oh,
no,
crazy.
Detroit
Fire.
and Cleveland Browns both in the postseason at the same time.
That's crazy.
I don't think it's ever
Yeah.
happened.
Well, it happened one time in 1950, and there was a big earthquake. So let's,
I got
Maybe
3
find his
more.
stuff.
3 more. Go ahead,
3
Mike.
more. Sir Grizz said, Jay, thanks for not peeing our Kool-Aid today. Good show.
peeing in it. I'm drinking it. Ain't no way I'm peeing in that.
Listen, what y'all don't understand is with diehard fans, that switch goes like that. Like, I don't know what y'all
Listen,
talking about.
first play of the game. First play of the game. I'll be totally honest.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy is not it.
No.
This guy is not it.
The second play of the game.
Okay, second play of the game.
Yeah.
End of the game, I'm like,
He's
he's it.
We got
He's it.
11
We got our guy.
Man, yo.
We've got our guy.
It was
Hey, truly
that's
a
it.
tale of two halves.
My wind vane bearing burned out. It was like,
Oh,
Welcome
you
to
should,
fandom,
oh,
right?
you should see me on
That's what
Twitter.
it is,
Oh
man.
my gosh, on Twitter,
but I own it.
You said something bad on Twitter?
Oh, G was killing
I was
some fans.
G was out of pocket on Twitter.
Everybody, I wasn't standing.
I got a couple more real quick, then we'll go for
Go,
G's
go,
Twitter.
go.
Brown Shell said, not trying to promote, but go check out my new Deshaun Watson hype video. It's low-key fire. Love watching the show in school. We appreciate that. Rat Generation X said, happy birthday, G. Bush, and to all my Scorpio brothers and sisters. My birthday was November 12th. Game day, go Browns.
Happy belated.
Big Chuck Little John said, happy birthday, G. Fire up that loud.
Big
And
Chuck
last
and
but
Little
not
John.
least,
Yeah, they're back.
Ronaldo Archer says, the NFL loves
Big Chuck's
nostalgic
dead.
storylines. I have never traveled. The Super Bowl will be called the Never Been Bowl. The Lions and Browns will meet in the Super Bowl. Both have never been. And then I can't see the last
Chuck
thing
is
because
Dave
there's an
Chudowski's
emoji
dad.
covering it.
Our-
Really?
Yes, our morning news anchor.
I didn't know
Former
that.
sports anchor.
What you say?
Big Chuck, who just passed
Jeff-
not long ago,
yeah.
is Dave Chudowski's father.
How did
not
we
know
not know
that.
that?
What a wonderful guy. Too.
Little John still.
Little John, I ran into Little John a couple of years ago.
The Gallardi Fest, shout out to it.
Hey, real quick, do you have any more Super Chats?
No, we're good. We're good.
Who do we want to win Thursday night? I know who you want to win Thursday night.
Well, of course,
No,
we want the
we
Bengals to win.
all want the
now,
Bengals.
wait a minute. Before we answer it so quickly,
You have 30 seconds, so.
a Bengals loss kind of pushes them on the outside looking in.
So
So
I think you always root for the team that's.
and I also think the Bengals are the better team. So
I
want them out.
Yeah,
so I think I'm rooting for Baltimore.
I actually think that, I would rather play Baltimore than the Bengals.
I agree
That's
with
a
that.
line,
Even
bro.
though we own the Bengals.
I'm about to say no. I'd rather play the Bengals. Stefanski just knows. Something.
Well, that worm can turn like that.
I'd rather
They
play
got
the
they
I
play
think the
Bengals.
Bengals are the more dangerous team, and I want them out. They scare the hell out of me.
I want the Bills out too.
I want the Bills out, too.
No parts of
I'm
them.
with Bull on this one. Go Cincinnati.
All right.
Happy
be that
birthday,
way.
G. We got overtime. We'll see you in a minute.
Look at the nugget with the birthday hat.